Riding divine horses, yes, the forces of the sun. With gentle touch, it means so much to bring our dreams into this reality. We set each other free. All right, welcome everybody to the Eagle's Nest podcast. It is Sunday, May 22nd of 2022. We're filming live from the Eagle's Nest located in southern Colorado in the great San Luis Valley, the great spooky San Luis Valley. In the intro, you've seen some pictures of the UFO watchtower. Those actually taken from right here in the San Luis Valley, right up the road. So want to include some local stuff in our new intro. And just to get out of the way in the beginning, that's the reason we have a new intro is because Eagles Nest and Podcast has parted ways amicably, and I wish them the best, and I know they feel the same back, and good luck in all their endeavors. Race Hobbs, Margie, everybody over there, still pulling for you guys for whatever you do, and just glad to be moving forward. So moving on, I want to wish my sister Mandy Robinson a very happy birthday today. She's up in New York, and I'm sure she's out getting ready to celebrate or celebrating, or maybe she's just decided to spend her birthday afternoon listening to her brother on the podcast. But anyways, if you do happen to hear this sometime, Mandy, happy birthday. Love you, sis. Also, congratulations goes out to my daughter Sienna Hammond for graduating just yesterday. So congratulations goes out to her. Love you, baby girl. Hope you hear this, and hope this gets to you. So another thing, just want a few other things. Upcoming guests. So tonight we got Jess Rogge from Escape the Simulation, and she was previous on the Rogge Report. I was on her show a few months ago. Actually, it's a very special night tonight because the last time I spoke to Jess was when my son was born. So when that all went down, I was sitting right here and heard my wife downstairs, and then we went to the hospital, and then Hawk come. So this is kind of nervous about what's going to happen tonight, to be honest. But no, just joking. Looking forward to having a conversation with Jess. I want to hear about how she got into it. Like, what's her drive? You know, what's her drive in the UFOs, and what sparked her fire. So can't wait to hear. I'm sure there's some amazing stories to come. So can't wait to hear those and unpack those. But next week we got coming up. Dave Scott is on the schedule for next Sunday. Following that, we got Jason Quitt on the 5th of June. On the 12th of June, we got Kevin Day. He's the radar operator. It was on the Princeton when the Nimitz incident happened, and that's really looking forward to that one. That's gonna be amazing. And then following that, we have Ruben Langdon coming up on the 19th of June. This is all tentatively right now. This is all scheduled for Sundays. This could be pushed up. I may reach out and try to get more, or I may fill in days in between. I don't know. I may be doing a little bit more with Eagles Nest, coming with special pop-up podcasts. But I'm going to try to stick to the Sunday schedule, and because it seems to be working out pretty good for everybody, spending Sunday evenings with me talking about aliens, ETs, and angels and such, and maybe Egypt. But we also have I've been speaking to Micah Dank. He's got an exciting presentation lined up coming up, and just returned his message just right before the show. So looking forward. Hope he's listening. right now. And shout out to everybody in the chat room. And let's see. I'm gonna get Jess on here, guys. Be patient. Check out the book. I'm perfect and so are you. It's on Amazon or our website. Let me throw the website up there, sacredjourneyswithin.com. You go there and go to the store page and find our book there. You can get autographed copies if you order from there, or you can get them on Amazon. You can also get digital copies. And people's been asking me about audiobook. I'm not going to do audiobooks on either one of my books. I'm perfect and so are you, or Find Your Inner Guru. But you can get the digital copy, which is very reasonably cheap compared to the paper edition. And you can do like talk to text or Google or whatever. I know a lot of people have done that, but I'm not going to do the audiobooks. I'm just trying to move forward with everything else, all the other pots I got in the fire right now. But I do want to point out before I get Jess on here, I want to take a moment and talk about this book that I got in the mail the other day from my dear friend Brian. So me and Brian met for the first time in 2016 at Soul Quest Church of Mother Ayahuasca in Orlando, Florida. We did our first couple ceremonies together. I think I had actually started facilitating at Soul Quest when I first started getting into medicine work, and he come there, and this was one of my first ceremonies I really facilitated with. Um, we made a connection, and over the years, we followed each other. He followed my work and everything. And I think it was last year, maybe in 2021. He had come out and done had a retreat with us, and he talks about it in the book. Shout out to Brian. I know you're in the chat room right now, and let's see if Brian's in the chat room. If he is, whenever he gets here, Brian, there he is. I think this is Brian here. So shout out to him. Thanks for mentioning me in the book. It's an honor, brother. It's to keep this going. His name of his book is "Wake Them Up and Bring Them Home." It's available on Amazon and also on his website. Um, Brian, if you throw that website up in the chat, I'll throw it up on I throw it up in the feed. Yeah, Brian. I read a little bit. Chapter 14 is about his experience at Sacred Journeys Within. I feel honored to be part of your book and part of your walk, brother. And congratulations on everything. Man, have it published in your first book. It's a great accomplishment. And from what I read so far, it's amazing. So thank you for that. So without further ado, here is Jess Rogge. Hey Jess, I caught you in the middle of a coffee.
Yeah, no, I was like, I better get a sip of tea real quick before Drew brings me on. I was like, no, I wasn't fast enough.
No worries, I gotcha. Jess, thank you
Yes,
for joining us tonight. Yeah, like I said before I brought you on, man, the last time we talked, hot come, so kind of excited what's gonna happen tonight.
let's
So
see what
I don't
happens
know,
tonight.
man. How's what's been going on, Jess? Like, have you been feeling a weird energy lately? Like a high energy? Like,
Oh, for sure.
sorry. For you guys don't know, this is Jess Rogge, Escape to Simulation. She has her own show. It's on the Fringe. It's broadcast on the Fringe FM. You can check her out. She has a YouTube channel. All the deets are down below. I don't like to waste too much time with all that. I like to get right into it. But
Let's
Jess
do it.
Rogge, everyone, she's awesome.
Thank
So getting back to energy, have you been feeling anything lately? Like, what's
you.
going on?
I am like, something's going on. I think it has to do with that whole eclipse thing going on last week, throwing like energy. Because some people are in like a chaotic energy, like me. I've been very drained lately, and I haven't really been doing much. But I've been like I could sleep. Like it's weird, but it's weird because I see it affecting people in different ways too. Would you agree with that, or
I
have
do.
you noticed anything?
I mean, my dreams have been. I had a weird dream last night. Just kind of don't remember a whole bunch about it, but I know I was doing something like kind of important. That's the only thing I know from it, you know. And but I woke up and my whole arm, like it felt like a sciatica, like in your hips, you know. But it felt like sciatica coming down my shoulder all the way through my arms, and my arm was just like tingling. That's why I brung up like the energy, but just trying to see like where everyone else at. Like, you know, this is what this show's about. You know, we want to figure you want to get to the bottom of it. The only way is you know, try to sort it out. Like,
Not to be weird, but since I think about a week ago, I've had this horrible pain from about right here
get out of here.
that goes all the way down here. I've been putting the massage gun on it. I've
Get
been like
out.
trying. I'm not joking. Like it's hard for me to turn this way because it hurts and pulls like all the way through into my arm.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
I don't
That's just
know.
kind
It
of weird
is weird.
coincidence.
It's
That's a weird coincidence. I don't know.
it's a man. There's just so much been going on lately. You know, like what's you seen the congressional hearings?
Yes, I did. Did you watch them?
I I streamed it. It's on my YouTube channel.
Oh shoot.
Uh, plug. go
Well, I
check
didn't catch
go
that.
check out the video.
Link in the description.
No, yeah, but yeah, I streamed it. Yeah, just it was interesting. Some of the stuff they brought up, you know, I honestly didn't think they was gonna come up, and this is something that's mentioned by a lot of people here lately. I've been seeing a bunch of people mention this about the near misses with crafts,
Hmm.
for military crafts, and on it they had what I think it was 11 near misses, like with like that was pretty big news to me. Like, you know, that's
That's a lot.
not surprising, but for them to come out and say that, like it's you know, I definitely think that I mean I think that that hearing probably could be considered disclosure. I mean I'm not I may be going out on a limb right here, but that's if the footage from the Nimitz and the Princeton and stuff, and you know, all the Kevin Day, all that stuff, if that wasn't disclosure, I think that video might have been disclosure. Like I might change the title on YouTube.
It's finally disclosure.
Like
But you know,
what is the definition? Like when are we gonna?
what do people want, right? And some people just say like them acknowledging this and doing like the UAP task force, and then even doing that document that came out last year, the preliminary UAP document which preceded this meeting, right? This has all been saying like, yeah, there are things out there, we don't know what they are, we're trying to identify them. There are several that fall into this category of we don't know what it is. And even what's interesting is he did mention natural phenomena, which kind of made me think like, ooh, see
Did you
some
hear
of
him
this.
mention dimensions?
I didn't catch him say
Did you hear?
dimensions.
I'm gonna soundbite that. And make
Where's
a
that
clip.
clip?
I'm
Some
gonna soundbite it and make a clip. He said they said something about a dimensional something. If anybody heard that clip, post it up in Twitter or Pat, or if anyone's listening and can find that clip, post it up in Twitter where he says dimensions in the congressional hearing. I man, I really hope I heard that right.
I hope you
But
did
I'm pretty
too.
sure I heard it, man. Maybe it was something I wanted to hear, but I'm pretty sure I heard it. I'm
I'm
about
pretty sure
90%.
there's like I mean, it's been a while. I wish I had done a little studying on this, but there have been mentions of like dimensions, I think, and like them thinking these are going through time and space, not just.
I've been talking about this for a few years now about them knowing all this stuff, and I even laid out how in depth they know, and people like you know, raising the red flag on me, you know, like like whoa, Drew, like you know, we don't know what's gonna. That's pretty intense. Now it's like slowly starting to trickle out. It's like, oh my God, come on, man. It's like people just need to just just let it be, just let it be. Just let it happen. I
I
think
just hope.
I don't know. I think the congressional hearings has moved a lot of people. I hope it has.
I think it has. I think the thing is, I think a lot of them are looking at this as some sort of like big military threat, which I kind of am not sure if I can say I fall with that, because I'm like, they've probably been around in theory, and this is my opinion, right? And maybe other people too. They've been around these things, whoever they are, have been visiting us, whatever, forever, right? As long as humans have been around. Has there been an
Since
increase?
way before, since way
Yeah.
before,
Before
like they're interdimensional travelers, they're basically other parts of our this is other particles of ourselves, like, and this is slowly starting to come out, man, and it's like I can't wait. It's right on the verge. But they did say utter the word threat in the briefing. I did hear that. And it's hearing that come out in the briefing, it was almost like, oh my God, this is like really happening in real life. Like everything that they've been talking about for so long is really happening in real life, even down to them starting to weave this tapestry that looks like outside threat. And wow, can't believe it. Can't believe it's finally happening. But that means if that's happening, that means the rest of it's happening as well. Like, and whatever that looks like for each and every one, I think it's going to be a positive outcome. I'm pulling for Team Humanity.
I hope, yeah, come on, Team Humanity, right? I'm like, no, they want to exploit everything they can get from whoever. If they can get any of this technology, they want to exploit it.
They have for so long. Like it's it's crazy that they're acting like they had known nothing of that they're just now figure
I don't know.
known about this. They've known about and they're finally telling us that they known about it. It's insane. Like they're finally saying like, yeah, we kind of like known about this for a while, like a good little bit, like, and they've been denying it all the way up until this point. It's just crazy.
It's crazy. And then you can imagine like all the people who've seen them that feel kind of vindicated too. They're like, ha, I told you.
Right? I mean, how many relationships have been lost? How many are strained because of this over the years? I know how I have. Like my relationship with my friends, family, like have been strained, like from all this over the years, and it's a programming that once you see it, you can't deny it, like, and you have to stick with it because it's affected your heart and your being. Once it does, it does. So you can't undo that. And that's why I tell people before they come to ceremony with me, like, know that it's gonna be you're gonna leave a different person. Like you're gonna see the world from a different viewpoint, somewhat one way or the other. And I have faith it's gonna be positive. And so I just hold that faith with everything. But getting into that, enough about all the Congress hearing, because that's not real. The real story comes from the real story is getting down and hearing people's encounters and figuring out like what and hearing their stories of what they learned from those encounters. So, Jess, what was your first encounter with ET? Like how did this spark happen?
Okay. So this is where a lot of people have problems because Drew, I don't have any encounters. I've never had an encounter. I've
No
never seen an
worries.
alien, never seen a UFO, seen a light in the sky. So a lot of people say, well, why, Jess? Why did you get into this? Well, it was more that my sister had had an encounter. So together we did a lot of research and we're trying to figure out like what could it be? What happened to her? Was it a dream? Was it a real encounter? Was it a projection? Was it in what level of consciousness did it occur? So we went into all these different routes to try to find out, and that's kind of where it all started.
So what about spiritual encounters, dreams as a child? Like
Spiritual power,
what
dreaming. Yeah.
any weirdo stuff, any woo woo stuff. Well, woo woo, we're calling woo woo unless we'll unpack it. And
Okay, okay. So I do have a woo woo background. Sorry. It's sometimes funny to say, but
you
I
snorted on live, you
started on
snorted
that
on
one.
live
You know what's
live
great though,
air.
Drew? At least
That's
hopefully
awesome.
you go in and can chop that out there. After.
I may think about it, but I'd rather just keep it like it is. It just I love it. I love our conversations, Jess. This is gonna be a fun night.
Uh, uh, so it is gonna be fun. So I guess maybe I grew up weird, Drew, because I was like, well, what's weird? Something that's weird to me. I don't know if it's like weird to someone else. Like, okay.
Try me.
I'm trying to figure out where to start it and figure out where I guess like I've always kind of been sensitive to energy ever since I was a kid.
Here we
Um
go.
my mom tells a story where I guess her and my dad took me to some museum with some old crap or whatever. And I was sick. I guess I was I guess ill the next day or so. And then my aunt says you can't take her there. All the old energy makes her sick. And so and then my mom's like, okay, so I won't. So my mom was kind of aware of that, I guess, because of my culture. My mom is Vietnamese, so with their culture, it's like they're a lot more open with the spirit world and ancestors. Is kind of the way it is, you know. It's like, oh, grandma's here, grandma's here. Grandma came into us in a dream, so we were. I guess it was very normal for me to know about dream visitations from dead relatives. Um, and it's kind of something that I've always had, and kind of, you know, I remember the first, I guess that's all the first one that I kind of remember. Like I had gone out to eat with my sister, and then I was like, gosh, I feel really tired. So I came home and I went to sleep. You know, we went to Soup Plantation and we ate too much soup and salad, you know, back when they had Soup Plantation. And I lay down and I was like so tired, and it was like all my energy had been sucked away from me. Like I could just immediately lay down and fall asleep. Like, and then so I was sleeping and I had a vision of my grandfather, and like he was wearing like golden clothing, and like he had taken me to this, what felt like an arena. Um and in this I was like, oh crap, it's you, grandpa, right? And he's like sitting up in the arena, and then comes running out is his dog that we took after he passed away. And so she was dancing around me, and then and then our other dog came. So my grandpa's like, yeah, we got all the dogs too, you know? So I woke up and I told my mom, oh, and I had an injury at the time, and he touched my leg where I had had the injury. And, you know, I don't know if it healed, but it seemed to get better after that too, after I woke up.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So you said a little bit about dreams. Like what is you're there's dreams now that you currently have, or this is something ongoing now. And
I mean, it happens sometimes. My
for
dreams, go
like
ahead.
how often?
Like, I don't know. Like, if somebody passes, generally I'll have a dream about them. Somebody that I know, you know, usually within like a month or so.
Oh, can you share a story?
Uh, I guess my friend's brother, her older brother passed away, and you know, this is like my best friend since like freshman year of high school. So we like grew up together. Her brother was a couple years older than us. So like, you know, he was always around, you know, like a big brother to me too. And you know, he passed away tragically early. But so we're all sad. But then about a month later, I have a dream, and I'm in a specific yard, and it's their sister's yard where they always had parties, and there was a big pillar, and I'd been thinking about him, and he pops up behind the pillar, and he's like, "It's me. I'm fine, healthy, smile, golden." And so I told his sister, I was like, "He's cool." She's like, "I know. He's always here visiting."
Oh,
Yeah. So it's always like
what's
that.
what was it like the first time? Like the
That grand
first time you knew it happened, like when the like something connected, you know, like okay, like when you knew it would happen for sure. Like what was it for, what was that feeling like?
I think it was that grandpa one, and then this second story that kind of cemented it for me, where I was like, "Oh crap, they are coming, and they do come, and they
Yeah.
do say goodbye."
Weird feeling, huh?
It's weird, and it gives you kind of this like feeling of it's like a feeling of comfort. I had a friend pass away, right? One of my high school buddies, you know, when you like hang out with, you cause trouble with,
Yeah.
and he passed away early. And but once in a while, it's like I meet him at a restaurant in my dream, and it's like we kind of just sit and catch up,
It's crazy.
and it feels so real, right? That
What's
I'm like,
what they
eh,
talk about? Do you remember what's talked about or any?
oh, like the last time I saw this friend, he was just like, "Holy crap, Jess!" Because he like found because he knew that I was doing this radio and podcasting stuff, and he's like, "Holy crap, Jess! You know, you're doing so well." Like he was happy. Like it
Yeah,
was just like he was coming in to have a meal, sit down, catch up real quick, and tell me how he felt.
that's amazing.
So
So
yeah,
so
sorry.
what started the podcast? Like, so you just changed the name recently
Yes.
and switched gears a little bit. So I so
Yeah. What
how
happened?
did it all start? Like what sparked it? Like what you
I'm
made do your first live stream or whatever you did?
well. So I mean, the first live changing the name, or are we talking about like the first show?
Man, I want to go all the way
I'm gonna go
back.
all the way back.
Like, yeah, I want to know like what drove you to it? You know, like what was it?
I guess like after my woo period, right? I had got into falling out with my teacher. And I said, I will never ever listen to one teacher again in my life. I will always look at many people. Ever
Mm,
since that, I will never let and I will never put one person on a pedestal. I have to realize everybody is a human.
mm,
So I had a bad experience. So I said, I'm going to start listening to, late night radio, and I'm going to start trying to listen to as many people as I can. And how I figured the best way was to listen to things like Coast to Coast was going to expose me to the most people as possible. And from there, I could look into them and see what they teach and what I can learn. And I just kept blossoming out until I was like, I am so this is what I want to know more about, and I want to talk to people, and if I want to talk to these people, I should do a show.
makes
Whew,
sense.
that was a lot. Um, but so my first show was with my sister and a friend of ours, and it was called Multiverse Maidens. And it was like it was more of lines of this show where it's like we were exploring like all kinds of things, talking about all kinds of things, UFOs, dimensions, timelines, spiritual stuff, psychic things. And that show split up, and I kind of saw, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go hardcore nuts and bolts UFOs after that split up. So I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I like what Richard Dolan's doing. I want to like look at things like in that kind of frame of mind where it's very realistic, very like grounded, and we're looking at statistics and stuff. And then I did the Rogge Report for a while, and then I was able to start doing the news on the Fringe FM after sending a demo in. And so I started doing the Rogge Report news over there. And eventually I started the Rogge Report show on there. And and then we went through that show, and then as we're doing that show, and I'm super nuts and bolts about everything, right? I'm like, you are a liar. You're lying, Jess. You know that it's not just that, and you know that there's more stuff because of you know that there's more to the world. You can't be like, oh, because I was like, psychic, I don't want to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm okay, but it's like I guess there was this kind of like shift of like you're not being open about everything you know and who you are. You're kind of presenting yourself as like this like serious news person when you're not. I'm not that a newsy freaking UFO-y person. I'm like a UFO person, not a UFO person.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I get it. Like some people are so it's how do I put it like this? How do I put it in a good way? People that are really stuck on that think the UFO phenomenon is the biggest story that's happening right now has a very limited spectrum of what's really going on right now. And I'm trying to say that in the least judgy way possible. I mean, I personally think like the story is the evolutionary shift of humanity that's happening right now in the UFO paradigm shift experience is a part of it, a big part of it, but I don't think it's the main part of the story. What's your thoughts on that, Jess?
See, I think for a while before this, right? If you take it back a few years ago, it was like before like all the UAP task force stuff when it was more of a rumor. I was like for I guess maybe that's why I'm kind of like moving away from I was for so much at the time being like, "Oh, we need disclosure. Oh, we need disclosure." Okay, well, it's here. All right, done. Let me go look at other stuff, because now it's like, well, what does that mean? That means who is out there, right? So then they have to think about who's out there now, and that interests me. And realizing too, like if, and what a lot of people say too is if UFOs are real, if aliens are real, if there's other dimensions are real, ghosts are real, other realities are real, like it's just this tumbling effect of well, what everything is real.
Yeah. I mean, it's never ending, and I've had my mind twisted open so many times, like just just bent sideways in each and every way, and finally I had to accept like this is what I signed up for. Like
Mm,
I signed up for a crazy ride. And then I'm really starting to enjoy it more, and it's actually starting to everything's starting to become more fluid. I think a big part of it is the medicine of my son, keeping me in the present moment. I really it's something I've been preaching for a long time, but it hasn't I haven't practiced it so easy because I'm still living a human life too, just like everybody. But my son's really got me into the moment a lot more, and I
yeah.
really think that's when our manifestation power is right here in front of us. That's when we can create real magic. So, I,
Uh-huh.
what I've
Yeah.
been meaning to ask you, what's your thoughts on the pendulum thing, like that we did
I
last?
that. I love that so much. I'm like, where is my pendulum? Oh, and I've shown several people. I'm like, hey, check it
Good,
out. You want to try it?
good.
No,
I
and
think.
so
Oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say
Sorry.
no, that whole pendulum thing, and just talking to you, and the whole power of words that we went over when you were on the show. What it did was, I would go out, Drew, and I didn't get to tell you this, but I would go out and I'd be like, if there was a slight breeze, I'd be like, well, the wind is sacred, the earth is sacred, it's beautiful, it moves the air, blah, blah, blah. And then the wind would pick up, you know what I mean? And I'm like, holy crap, and I'd come home, I'd be like, this is sacred, just kind of like blessing things and being happy about it. And then you kind of notice the shift in the energy. After like messing with the pendulum, I just went out and started just doing it, and just trying it.
Yeah.
And it was a shift in my perception as well.
Yeah, that's one of my elders, Grey Wolf from the UK, Grandpa Grey Wolf, Francis Grey Wolf. He told me one time, he said when holding the pendulum is one thing, the pendulum just shows you the energy. Like when you disconnect from the pendulum, that's when the journey starts. And that's when the drop becomes. I interpret that now as really. It took me a while to dissect it all, but it really translates into when the drop becomes the ocean, and identifies with the ocean, and that's kind of what happens. You when you release the pendulum, you stop identifying this drop and you go into the ocean.
That's awesome. What was Pat saying? Oh,
Oh, Pat. Uh, Today's UFOs are the angels and demons of yesterday. I think that's true on I think that's true on a level for sure.
I would agree with that.
Trev, this is my buddy from Georgia. Yeah. So
Yes,
what's
sir.
what's how's the show going now? Like what's going on with the show? Is it doing better now that you changed the name? Like, and
It's been
I see your graphics stepped up a bit.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I felt like even if you look at the colors of before versus now, it was like red and black and white, and it was like angry, and it was like and it's like red, it's like base survival. And then now it's more like green, it's like a light blue, it's like purples, it's soft. It's more upper chakras, I guess, versus being the lower chakra. And is that kind of
Wow.
nerdy on that?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like you got to be in flow with this whole thing, like it and man, it takes everything, it takes every moment, I believe, and
Yeah.
that's if you do it like I think you're starting to I think it's I think the show's going better. I check it on you every now and then and
Oh,
see
thank you too.
yeah, see whose guests you're coming up and see, how your following's going. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. No, I really enjoy doing it. I mean, like my goal is to like I was listening to you talk. I was like, I want to do the show more. Really, like I want to do more and be able to speak more because a lot of the times, with sometimes you get some guests and you don't really get to have a back and forth conversation, and it's like I want to talk sometimes. That's why I do this.
Yeah. So what's the crazy what's the first time that you really got shocked on air? Like what's the first what's the first guest and not to put them in any order or anything, but what's the first time like you really got like wow, that really happened?
Well, I guess what happened like the first time was the first well I'm like okay like, the first guest to shock me to like come on the show that I was like shocked would even come on the show was actually when I first started doing the Rogge Report on the Fringe FM last year. I think my fourth episode I got Dr. Avi Loeb on, the guy who's heading the Galileo project. I just like emailed him. I was like, "Hi, I'd like for you to come on my show." And he was so kind. He's like, "I'd love to." I was like, "What have you done? You're gonna talk to this, like as this like what I think he's like a Harvard astrophysicist." I was like,
So did how far out did you schedule him? Like and did you have
it's like a week. He gave me like a
oh
week and a half.
my
He's like, "I'm
god.
gonna overnight you the book. You're gonna read it, and I'm gonna be on next week." And I'm like, "Holy crap!" Got in touch with my friend. My luckily my guest who was booked for that week is a friend. I was like, "Bro, dude, you gotta like, please, can I move you because this Harvard guy is gonna come on the show." So
Wow.
he sent me the book. I don't know if I can grab it here. So he sent me the book, right? I'm like, he's like, you better read it, right? I'm like, oh man, it's like college in here, right? I'm like, I gotta read the book. So I get the book, right? I'm like, I read the book. I'm up all night. I'm like, Dr. Avilo, fuck. And then he shows up, fucking like, he can't show up any earlier because he's like a media booked. And so he comes on like, this is my third show. I'm live and I'm like, oh my, I almost have a panic attack because he's not there. We're like started, we're live. I've done the intro, he's not there. He finally comes in and I'm like, holy fuck.
I
I
get it.
almost died that day.
I get it. I
But yeah, no, that was the coolest, like biggest, not the biggest. I mean, the most shocking one was Chong when he said yes.
yeah, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
what'd you guys talk I man
You haven't got it yet?
I'm gonna be honest, no.
Okay.
I wish I did. I
I'll
wish
tell you.
but I'm not gonna lie.
It's okay. No, at
But
least if you didn't say it,
man,
I can tell
Avi,
you.
I didn't know you had Avi Loeb.
Yep.
We can't just skate over that. Hold on,
Okay.
you
Sorry.
can't.
Yeah,
Avi,
he was
Avi.
like my fourth guest on the radio, and he sent me this book. He was so kind. He's like, "Yeah, we'll send you a book."
Did you read the book?
Oh yeah, I got my little post-its here. I actually, because I knew I only had a limited amount of time because it was coming up. So I was like, how long is the book going to take to get there? So I had to buy the digital copy. I started reading the digital
Oh
copy on my
man.
phone. Then I bought the Audible because I was like, when I'm not reading it, I can listen to it. And so because I didn't have enough time to really read it before the whole, I couldn't gingerly read it with how like little time I had.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can sympathize with the starting the show without him being there. That's happened to me twice already. Like and one was Billy Carson. I think the other one was Laura Eisenhower. Both of them, I'm just like, man, yeah, but that's the good thing about not having a time limit. If someone pops in, we're just gonna talk about. I don't know. We may read out. May have story time with my book or something someday, but who
That's a
knows?
good idea.
Hopefully, everybody comes in. Just putting out there in the universe. Everybody, it's been good so far. So yeah. So
Awesome.
what was the first? So what the Avi Loeb, like what you guys talk about? Like,
We talked about Oumuamua. We talked about like
get
his
out of
fault.
here! Like what?
Yeah,
I
like
just
he
went.
talked.
See, this
Oh,
is it. This is I point this out in each one of my shows. Whenever there's synchronicity, I'll be like, ding, 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 synchronicity. I didn't even know about Oumuamua until Jimmy did it for the XCon couple days ago or
oh
whatever.
no, man.
He did a presentation on it, so I've been looking into it. What do you guys
Um,
talk about?
but because he talks about Oumuamua could be some sort of ancient spaceship. One of the theories is like, say there was a galaxy that they or a planet they knew they were dying, so they created these seeds. And things like Oumuamua, for example, would go out and seed other galaxies with, whatever minerals or crap. It's been a long time since I read it, but something like that. But the idea is that, Oumuamua it's not just a flying rock. I don't know what
Yeah,
Jimmy talked about. I didn't catch that
same,
presentation.
same. Well, so he talked about he his it was based about a lot about Avi Lowe's findings. So
Yeah. Avi Loeb is dope, man. He's a dope.
yeah. So some of the things that really surprised me was some of the facts of how Oumuamua, the meteor, about the football sized meteor or something like that, it
Freaking huge, yeah.
come past by the sun, it passed by the earth, and then it made a turn, and then it sped up.
Hmm.
And um, for people to hypothesize that that was all like gravitational slingshot from the all the different planets and stuff is absurd if you look at the data of that was actually collected on how fast it was moving, because it moved out of measurable area so fast that there was only a few seconds worth of measurable data
Yeah, I
that
think
it
there's only
moved
like a couple pictures, right? Like where it's like,
oh man, it twisted me, man. It twisted my some stuff that I watch, and it's just like, it just gives you a little twitch, you gotta shake it off for a minute. Like, what is going on here?
yeah, no, and more is like crazy, right? So now I don't know if he's like doing the Galileo project where he's like gathering all these great minds and they're gonna like, gather all this data with all these telescopes they're gonna put out and stuff. So this guy's more like he's also like, well, what about the future of humanity? He's thinking like the long game, like
I love it.
this
I
place
love,
isn't gonna be here forever. We need to think about being out there too.
man, just where a lot of people's minds going on all this stuff, because it's shifting away from like the nuts and bolts so much, and
So much.
it's 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 crazy because we're seeing like, okay, the collective, I think, especially from this circling back to the congressional hearing for a second, but
Yeah.
the public's viewpoint in the collective is starting to shift now just because of this public you know hour or whatever, available on my Eagles Nest podcast channel. Uh, but go check it out and watch it 1,000 times.
There you
But
go.
it, it's there's a lot of stuff that opens a lot of question in the public's mind there, and it's interesting that, okay, that set of humanity, the people are on that part of the path have moved into a next level, so it makes only sense that there's other people that's moving into other vibrations of this process too. Not talking about a hierarchy type of thing, but just we're I think individually we're all moving forward at our own individual pace, and the
Yes.
collective is doing the same. They're both connected and not connected. I think is the best way I could put it.
I would agree with that. I think it seems like, it is, there's a shift from the nuts and bolts, but there are people who are always going to be kind of more nuts and boltsy about this whole thing. But I think too, there's a lot of people, and I think we've even talked about this too. It's like it kind of spurs this spiritual kind of like questioning into like what's going on. What is this really?
Yeah, it's definitely paradigm shift. I think that's the name of the game. Everything, even near, the near deaths. I got to experience a bunch of different things, but the near deaths and ayahuasca ceremonies and just general epiphanies and dreams, and these are and experiences from craft um, is they're all paradigm shifts, and I think the overall goal behind it is the evolutionary shift of humanity, like the shift of our consciousness, the shift of our DNA, like from carbon to more crystalline, diamond patterns and stuff. I think another thing, man, I keep jumping back to the Congress thing,
No, please
but
do. It's informative.
I think one of the things that really struck out to me, they said, and this is really ruffle a lot of feathers because there's a lot of people that say out there that they've said they've or people they know have witnessed actual material and beings and stuff like this. They
Yeah.
said in the congressional hearing that they have no material. The government has no material, which I think I feel I'm me and Grant Cameron got into this in my first episode of this podcast about, is there nuts and bolts to this phenomenon? Like, is there a nuts and bolts? Is there ever been a nuts and bolts craft from another dimensional field? There's nuts and bolts remakes that we have
Mhm.
remade from reverse engineering. That's a fact. And I don't care who hears it. The CIA, that's why I love having my own channel, because I will say CIA, I will say FBI, any of them. I hope they're listening right now. I'm
They
spreading
probably are, Drew. Come on.
I'm spreading the truth, and I mean, and I'm not afraid to say any of it. They have known for so long, like, and but they know about the consciousness aspect of it.
They do.
They have been using the conscious aspect of it for so long. They have been using it against us, like from the Pledge of Allegiance, everything. They have tricked us into hypnotizing ourselves. When you break down the Pledge of Allegiance, if you go into probably the darkest dungeon of government or the powers to be, they know that they have tricked us into hypnotizing ourselves and using our manifestation energy to create their system. And
100%, Drew.
yeah, and I can't. I mean, I I'm so glad that I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm
You know,
glad too, because it sounds bad when you think about it, because what you're saying, Drew, is like I don't want to gloss over you talking about, but they are using our consciousness powers and manifestation. So, Drew, what do we do, or how do we stop that? Not to interview you back, but I want to go a little bit deeper in it.
no, I just it's fun just to have a back and forth, and I think we're gonna get deeper into because the way interviews normally work, you spend a lot of talking about yourself, books that you've wrote, videos you've done, t-shirts you're selling, and maybe at the end you might get a little into it. I think this conversation is going to be awesome tonight.
Awesome, me too.
I can't wait to see where it unfolds. How we get into it, hate to plug my book, but read the book. Just read
Please
the
do.
title. Just read the title. You don't even have to read the book itself. Go on Amazon, look at the title, and read the title, and read the back of the book. The back of the book lays it all out. This is the first channeling I had from Source. I am the source of all creation. You are the creator through the power of manifestation. Step back into your power to facilitate the upcoming evolutionary shift. That was my first channeling from Source before it just blurted out of me, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to step back into our power. Like, we need to step back in, love ourselves, control our breath, get back out in nature, try to disconnect from stress, and try to balance yourself.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? How do you
I
what's Jess's thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I think too it's just kind of working on yourself. I think for a long time I didn't take that time to like sit there and kind of meditate and think of on all these things. I got into this kind of like I got to do the show, I got to do the show, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I started to take time to do that for myself. So I thought doing that for myself started to make me think like you're saying like people it's a lot about working on raising the vibration within yourself, I think, and kind of connecting to yourself more. And like you were talking about earlier, were we talking about that before the show or during the show? We were talking about being here more present now.
Yeah, just oh man, there's so much to talk about. Like so it's like the way I see things is just so unique, now. And I see things in such a matter of fact way. And I don't know if it's like Tesla or if like there's a part of me that was in Tesla's existence or whatever, but I'm starting to see energy just differently, and
Differently.
how it works. And it just become really super clear to me of how we have like this energy coming from source. It's coming through our crown chakra and other chakras that are outside of our being, but our crown starts our being chakras that make up our energetic signature. It comes into our body and goes to our body, and then it energy exits out our feet and goes into the ground, and we're connected with the earth above and below. We're a circuit in between. So I see this like so clearly. And once I see that, I can equate like, okay, now this energy is going through me. Now I can decide where it goes, and it can go in the present moment or it can go in the past, which is used to make visualizations and recreate situations in the past that will never change. You just go back and relive them just for the sake of seeing them again. They're like videos stored in your memory, or you create videos in the future that have that very seldom have a chance of manifesting because you spend a small amount of time on them.
Mm-hmm.
But you go back into the present and be in the present, and you start to manifest um present reality. So, and then you can, once in the present reality, that's where you can get visions of what you need to focus on in the future to create that magic to manifest that future for yourself. That's how I see it, and I see it
Yeah.
so clearly that it's painful at times. Not
Yeah.
painful, but it's hard for me to really articulate it, and I'm glad. Thank you for facilitating me to articulate that a moment.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Because I think for a lot of people too, they don't understand quite when they're like, "Oh, manifestation, manifestation. What does it really mean?" But the way that Drew explains it here is, it is honestly a big part of it is being here, being present, and being able to see instead of being like so caught up in the past or what is going to happen. You just kind of see, because I understand, because I feel like I've had a hard time seeing where to go and how to keep moving forward, because I know with my show, like you Drew, like we're just trying to help people and kind of that's the thing, just spread the message of helping people and connecting people with other people.
You
So
know, yeah, yeah.
what, go ahead, go ahead.
You know, it's just some people. I'm not naming any names. I don't even have anybody in mind. But
Yeah.
if you're doing this podcast business for money or fame or anything like that, you don't really get what's happening. Because you're investing in a stock that's gonna tank. I know it. Like, I know the stocks are going to tank. I know the American dollar is going to tank. I've had visions in my lifetime. I'm going to see them burning dollars in bonfires. I've had visions of this, And these are some of the visions I know are going to hold true. And this podcast is an investment in the future because I'm trying to help people accept and step back into the truth of their existence. And it's only done by sharing stories and speaking, and hopefully, the listeners that are in the chat room, Pat, Brian, Sam, Madeline, everybody else that's in the chat room, and people listen to it afterwards. I hope that something switches in their brain. I hope they hear a synchronicity in something we're talking about, and it triggers them to trust the voices inside them a little more, so they can move forward. And that's
100%.
really what I'm investing in this show, you know, and
Yeah.
my books, and really every breath that I take, you know. Even my son, like, I know that he's going to be an instrument. He's going to be an instrument just like I am, and he's going to be a little more finely tuned than I am. That's pretty obvious already, you know.
Um, no, I'm sure that it's too. It's because like he's gonna have his dad kind of showing him like the way.
He's yeah, he listens to, I do a lot of research, a lot of playback on my videos sometimes, so he hears me, he hears me talk a lot, and
So
it's
awesome.
really, it's really cool. It's really cool, how everything happened with the podcast. Just that just goes another lesson about, stepping into, I talked about this before in other shows, but like stepping into like doors when they open, like, we
Yes.
have to recognize when that doors open for us. What's Have you had any experiences like that? Like, what's your feelings on that thought?
Man, I think like, for me, I think different doors opened during this podcasting thing, which allowed me, really like getting on the Fringe FM connected me with a lot of people that led to a lot of friendships and led down this path of me really kind of now forgot the lost the beginning of the question, darn it. I was getting so like dramatic with it.
Go with whatever you're going.
Okay. But like I don't know, man. Oh, but the podcasting thing, like I think if I didn't realize, and I think I said this the other day. I said I didn't realize when I started doing all this podcasting stuff because in the beginning, really, like my shows were like I did a show called Strange Tales Weekly where we just talked about like ghosts and cryptids and like aliens, like nothing really spiritual, and that's kind of where I was for a little bit. Then I went to the nuts and bolts, but having this kind of spiritual, because like I say, it's a spiritual, it's a personal growth for me. This whole show has been to see where I am now and like the things I'm interested in help. Not it's not even like it's not like I'm helping you guys, but it's like I'm going on this journey and I'm talking about these things. I'm sharing it with people. I'm sharing my journey. And if you want to try some of these things or talk to these people or look into these people, that's what I want because that's how I got here was listening to all kinds of different people. So I wanted to eventually like be someone who could bring all these different people on so that people could be like, okay, let me check out what this guy has to say and expand what they know and what their paradigm is of the world. Oh, there you
Whoa.
go.
So that reminds me, what I I forgot about Tommy. What did Tommy say anything about UFOs? Did Tommy Chung say
I
anything about?
He is
Did
a
you ask
hard
him?
man. He's a hard man. I think you get like one and a half question because he'll talk the whole time, right? So
Was he smoking during the interview?
the best part was like I was like, if you just watch the beginning, Joe, I'm like, Mr. Chong, I want to ask you if I could smoke a joint. And he's like, go ahead. And I was like, hell yeah. But then he had a joint. He just held it the whole time, right? But he never lit it. He's like, it's too early because he gave the slot I got was 10 a.m. So it was like I woke up. I was like, I'm gonna fucking smoke a joint with this dude if I ever get a chance to, right? But he didn't. But he's just like kind of like he's the cool stone. He just kind of feels like the stoner grandpa or something. He's just kind of chill. He talks a lot. No UFOs. I
No
wanted to
UFOs.
did not get to it. Did not get to it.
Oh
He
my
talked
god.
about like he did talk about an experience what he believed was with an angel. and how he believed if he hadn't helped like that gentleman that evening, that perhaps his life would not have gone the way it did.
Oh wow, that's cool.
That's my favorite story from the whole thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go check that one out for sure.
At least that part, because that's a good story. He talks about his upbringing, because he's half Asian like me, so we talked a little bit about that too. So that was kind of
So,
cool listening to how
oh,
it was back then.
okay. I love how the universe is telling me where to go with this interview
Okay,
because
go,
there
go,
was
go.
a question in the chat room just a little bit ago about do you know anything about Bigfoots in Vietnam?
I know the story because my mother told me the story, and her mother's
Oh my,
mother told her the
you've been
story.
holding out on me this
I've
whole
been
time.
holding out on you. I know
Where?
Pat's like, tell the damn Bigfoot story.
Yeah,
So, so I think, okay, so if it's my mom's grandmother, right? So like my great great grandmother or something like that. So back in the olden days in Vietnam, I guess my grandmother's mother said that when she was little, you would go, they would go to go trade, right? And in the small town, and there's certain small town at the foot of the mountain were the big hairy people, and they would come down and they would trade, and I believe they traded for like salts and like textiles and things like that. And they just thought of them as another people. And they lived up in the mountains, and they'd come down and trade, and it was pretty darn normal. They weren't monsters or anything. They were people, or like a race of beings.
amazing. Joe, here's a question. Now we're in the Bigfoot
Yeah.
section of the conversation. What's your thoughts on Bigfoot? Are you team multi-dimensional or are you team bipedal?
Dimensional. They are dimensional beings. That is the old that once I learned about multidimensional Bigfoot, I was like, that's it. That's exactly what they are. They just pass through when they're walking by. Sometimes we see them.
You know, I no, when you have an experience, it's hard to really get people to really fully get it, fully grasp like what you're saying and fully feel what you're saying. And I get that. Some of the stuff is only meant for you. I know for a fact that Bigfoot was entered and exited a room that was closed, locked doors, locked windows, in the Whoopi ceremony. Reference book number 1, I'm Perfect and So Are You, from Drew Banky. But
Yeah.
I tell that story. But that indeed very, 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 so very, very factually happened to me. And when people talk about, oh, they're bipedal, it's a race, it's found up in the
No.
mountains that you can't find, I'm just like, maybe we're talking about different things. Like I open up that idea too. Maybe we're talking about slightly different things, but the Bigfoot that I saw, there ain't no way that it was a physical being because it entered and exited through a closed door. Like, and if you ever look up, I talk about Whippy just about every single episode I'm on, just because it's so profound. I bring it up. People Google Whippy ceremony and start digging into that. Black Elk Speaks,
You whip it.
and my book, I talk about Whippy ceremony. But Black Elk Speaks, if you really want to, shouts out to him. He's in the spirit world and definitely guiding, definitely guiding a lot of things. But he's an amazing medicine man, and he did these ceremonies, without plant medicine, only using vibration and song, and open up portals for beings to come through. And
Nice.
it's deep, and I've experienced it firsthand. Like, yeah. So that's my experience with Bigfoot. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there can't be a bipedal version of them, but man, there ain't no way that could be like from what I saw.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the ones that my great great grandmother saw or whatever, maybe they just, beamed in, they beam in, grab the stuff, and then leave.
I don't know. I had experience down in so down in Everglades they call it skunk ape. So
Yeah.
it's same thing, but they call it a different thing. So I was staying at a campgrounds that's called behind the campgrounds that's called the skunk ape headquarters. Skunk ape headquarters. It's right around the same area that David Shealy filmed has footage of Skunk Ape from back in the '90s. He was on Unsolved Mysteries, all
Oh,
this stuff.
sweet.
So I wasn't there for this reason. I was there to participate in a prayer camp that took place over a 3 month span. So I would sleep by a sacred fire. We had I took care of a sacred fire for a 24-hour spans, and then I was relieved and someone else would come watch it for 24 hours. Well, one of my times that I was watching this sacred fire, you had to keep it burning the whole time. So, you would kind of stay up all night with it, or put big logs and like set a little alarm or something. So you make sure that the fire stays going. If it rained, you had to cover it and say prayers to it when the sun comes. There's all types of different things happen. Lots of stuff happened to me back there. I was dive bombed by a hawk at one point.
Oh,
He come down, and I was sitting by the fire, and he come jumping down off his tree and was diving towards me, and he banked at the last minute and caught a snake that was beside me.
wow. What does
That was
that
crazy.
mean?
That was crazy. One other time I was sleeping at night, and I heard this crunching behind me, and I'm like, it's like pitch dark,
Yeah.
and I shine a light behind me, and it's this armadillo that's walking through the leaves. And man, it just had my heart just beating.
Right?
And
What the hell is that?
it was like a week or two later, I'm laying there and I hear something very similar. Like I hear crunch, 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 like start walking up behind me. And I'm laying on this elevated, so it's the Everglades, like, and the way I was living in a cheeky hut that I helped build, and we built it with the Miccosukee Seminole tribe. It's in a traditional way. So it's a very in-depth prayer area, and it's very sacred area. Know that we're a very sacred thing that we're doing. It was a 3 month prayer.
Wow.
Anyways, I'm laying. So it's an elevated thing. It's like 3 foot off the ground. It's a platform, and then it's covered with a thatched roof that's made out of palm fronds. And I made it all, and it's the whole thing making them, me and other people. But making it's a ceremony, like putting it together is a ceremony. Each post goes in a certain order, everything that's done around it, and it goes in a circular motion around it, which is very interesting, like the Fibonacci
Interesting.
sequence. So
Yeah.
how it's made, it's like, okay, this post goes here, this post goes here, this post goes here, and then it keeps going up until the whole thing's made, but it spins in a circle. Certain order, it has to be that way. Anyways, I'm on this thing and this little platform about 3 foot off the ground, and I hear this crunching coming up behind me. I shine my light, expecting to see an armadillo, and I just hear the footsteps still. Like I don't really see much or anything, but I hear the footsteps come right up to the back, like right above my head. Like my head's like right here, and like the edge of the platform's right here. And I shine the light like this, and I like look down looking for the armadillo, and I can just feel something like standing above, like a being, like I could feel something standing there, and then it walks off. And the same thing, but I never seen anything, you know?
You heard it though.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
man.
Oh my God. I forgot. It's crazy, like telling these stories, because I forgot.
Tell
One
me.
time a bear come up, a
Oh,
bear,
shoot.
I heard this bear a black bear coming through, and actually I thought that was a Bigfoot at first. I thought that was a Bigfoot, but it come up to the edge of the camp and it growled. Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Oh my god. So did it leave, or did you have to like do anything, or did you just
I
like
threw a,
quiet?
s- I threw a couple sticks that way, and it went crashing. Like it sounded like it was tearing down. Like it sounded, I don't know. It sounded like someone's trying to drive a 4-wheeler through the woods, and just like just crunching, just trees
Dang.
crashing. Just yeah. That was an experience, man.
That's why I don't go into like nature where there's bears or anything, right? Because like I'd be no good. I would have been crying or something. The bear would have eaten me on, it's like, oh great,
You gotta trust it. You gotta trust it. You gotta
yeah.
trust it. that's
Armadillo, I'm fine, but bear,
yeah. I've been you hiking in Colorado, you kind of you accept that there's a lot of animals that are bigger than you, and it's possible, but I always hike with a pocket knife and stuff like that. Not that I'm out there to kill anything, but I definitely not gonna get caught without a pocket knife on a trail in Colorado, at least.
oh,
You know,
no.
man, there's crazy times.
Do you have any other
Yeah.
animal encounters you want to share, Drew? These are kind of crazy.
Uh, so one time I was hiking with Renato, my teacher, from Chile. He was up. We had a group hiking with Wachuma with San Pedro cactus, which we're
Mhm.
about to have a retreat coming up.
Oh, nice.
First part of June. Actually, there's some people in the chat room that are going to be coming to the retreat, and yeah, but we were hiking with San Pedro up in the mountains. We had about 5 people that was with us. It was just me and Renato, and we hiked a ways up, and I think it was yeah, it was all guys. So it was we were just like really trying to get to the top of the mountain, and a lot of stuff happened. It was raining one time, and I played the flute and cleared the sky up, and but when that's a whole nother story. But when we got up to the top, as far as animal stories, we got up there and we were got up to our turnaround point, and Renato's like, we're gonna sit here and relax a little bit in silence, and then we're gonna walk down. So I'm sitting there and I'm kind of getting antsy after a while, like after about 40 minutes or so. And I look over at Renato, I'm like, when are we going? He's like, when everybody's ready. And I'm just like, okay. I'm just like, all right. And I just waited a little bit longer. I was like, okay, I gotta use the restroom. So I was like, I went behind this big boulder and just to take a pee, back behind this
Yeah.
boulder. And walk around this boulder and there's this whole elk, like a whole
Oh,
elk
man.
skeleton laid out,
Oh, that's kind of creepy.
like a skull and everything. And it's sitting right behind the boulder that Renato's sitting on. He's been smiling for like over an hour, just smiling, not saying anything, coming in, looking at me. And I'm like, just trying to figure out what is going on.
Yeah.
He's known for that, with me. Um, but yeah, I walk back there and I come back and this hike that we were on, we were hiking with a group of people, but it was also it was my full initiation. It was my end of my the reason that he was up and doing the ceremony and with us. It was kind of like my graduation ceremony.
Wow.
So from apprenticeship with him, and it was like me stepping fully into him saying I was ready to do it. Fully in without being under him anymore as a student. So I come walking back with the elk skull, and I'm just like, wow, y'all, like look at this, like this is back behind this rock. And Renato goes, he's like, good, you found it. He's like, I've been waiting for you to go back there. He's like,
Dude.
let's go. He never walked back there. Like when we got there, he never walked back there. Like,
Interesting. So
and
he knew.
he knew. And he's like, oh, good, you found it. We can go. He's like, congratulations. And yeah, actually, it's right up there. It's
Oh,
on the
you
shelf.
brought it. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, I carried it down.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, that was a very there's tons of those moments like that. Other moments later, I prayed and asked for a confirmation, like asked a question as like if it's this way or that way, send an antler shed, and I'd find an antler shed like a day or two later. Things like that.
So you want to go back? Because you said you used the flute to clear the sky?
Oh man, yeah. I don't. This is your story. This is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ah! This is what happens when you get a host on, Drew. You know that they'll do it back to you, right?
We're not coast to coast. We're host to host.
Host to host, right?
Host to host AM.
It's pretty funny. They probably
By the
sue us.
way, I was on Coast to Coast a while back on Heidi Hollish's show. Go
I
check
heard
that
you on
out.
Coast. that was pretty awesome. Yes, check it out.
That's a good one. Please check that out, guys. Yeah, the listening to them is not going to cost you anything. It's only going to help yourself out in the end and help me out in the long run. So, and check Jess's show out too.
Yeah, please do.
Check out Jess's show on Tommy for sure and Avi Loeb, and see see how Jess was on that interview. I have to check that out. That's gonna be
No,
awesome.
I don't even put the video up because I think I didn't even cut it out.
What?
It's like you can hear me go, "Oh my god, he's here."
Are you serious? You didn't post it?
No, you can hear the audio only. I didn't put the video because
Oh,
like
okay.
I was so embarrassed of myself. The
That's
audio
funny.
is there on YouTube. It's on Spreaker, but I never uploaded the video.
All right, I'm gonna have to listen to it. You guys send me a link after the show.
Okay, I will.
Yeah,
I
I
will.
have
I was
to
sweating.
listen to it. I
I
have
was
to
sweating
listen
so
to
much. Sweating. It was the scariest half hour of my life
it.
or hour of my life.
How'd you end it?
I didn't have. Okay, so I have a friend who has a band called the Majungas, and then he has a song about Oumuamua. So so my whole plan was to be like, I want Avi Loeb to hear your song, you know. So I was like, thank you. I was like, and thank you so much, Mr. Avi Loeb, for coming on the show. I want to play the song that my friend wrote real quick. It's called Oumuamua. I started to play it. Boom, he was out. Well, he
He
had to go
said,
anyways,
"I'm not
but
subscribing to this."
he's like, I'm not listening to this.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so yeah, that was it. I was like, "Are you gonna come back?" He's like, "Yeah," and then I never asked him back.
You should reach out again. I think you're, man. If you would book him now, I think that you would be a lot different.
I think so. I have a lot more under my belt now. I've had people not show up to the show at all. I've talked to a lot. I haven't talked to any more astrophysicist type dudes,
I showed
but
up late. I showed up
you
late.
showed up late. I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh no, it's Drew."
yeah. Sorry. I know how it feels.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Like there's people where I've sent the link out. I mean, just talking about just hosting. It's just like you send the link out and then like they don't respond at all and you're like, are they actually coming on? Are they actually I've emailed people. I'm like, "Hey, I just want to confirm that you're
Yeah.
coming on. I don't want to like put all this time into like marketing and putting together the episode and like you don't show up."
Who you got coming up? You got who's on
Um,
the plate?
God, who is on the plate? Let's see. Tomorrow or this week, I've got Alex Exum. He's another host over on the Fringe FM of Live Talk, and
Host
he's
to
like
host AM
yeah, yeah.
PM.
So yeah, another host to host. I like to do host to host because it's a lot of fun,
It's
and
cool.
you can always talk, about a lot of stuff. I'm trying to open my calendar here and see who the heck else I got coming on. On then see coming up it's another host to host. We do have Gigi and JP. I know you know Gigi and JP. They're going to be coming on
I
in
may
June.
know them a little bit.
You may know them a little bit, right? um I've got Ghost Hunter Miranda Young coming on. She's great. She does a show called Ghost Biker where she rides around the South and she investigates the paranormal by herself. So that's a lot of fun. And she also owns a haunted jail.
Wow. Ghost Biker.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, check her out. She's pretty cool.
Oh man. I do. That sounds like a good listen for sure.
Yeah, she's awesome.
My mother-in-law, she has a Harley.
Oh,
So she's
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Let's see.
Oh, Pat. That's Pat. That's bad.
Yeah,
Pat.
Pat's always there.
Pat is always there.
Wonder if Jess
Pat.
ever called a psychic hotline. Here is a groundbreaking question. I have a feeling that there's a bigger story to this. So
You're correct.
let's put it out there and see if I can blow this up and make it bigger.
Okay,
I
here we go.
can't.
Ready?
I can't.
Okay, let's see. No. Okay, so
There's Pat.
Patrick. So Patrick Breeze. So Pat asks, have I ever called a psychic hotline? What's funnier, Pat, is I worked the psychic hotline.
Get
So
out of
people called
here.
me. Yes, I was a psychic hotline psychic for a little bit.
Was it? Were
Was it
you reading off
horrible?
a? Did you like what? How did you do it? Does it?
It was rough,
Was it?
man.
Was it your own thing, or were
No,
you freelancing it, or what?
I worked for a website that had like an 800 number, and then they had all like the different psychics profiles on there and like what you kind of specialized in, and and I don't know if
Oh
anybody
man,
here has ever worked for one, but like you do several tests with different people before they actually bring you on. So I don't just hire you. And well, at least where I worked, there was no training. It was like if you had the ability and you already like kind of knew your shit, they'd bring you on. After you did their tests.
yeah.
And so I did it, but what happened is like before that I had done like, regular readings, with people, with humans, like in person, but this was like the first time I'd actually started doing readings by phone, which was difficult for me, mostly because it was like they got to pay like 2.99 a minute to talk to you, right? And so for me, I'm like I'm trying to get them as much information as best I can in the shortest amount of time, asking the minimal amount of questions, trying to connect to people, phone call after phone call. I'm still connected to the person 2 calls before because I didn't have time to chop off the little connection there. So by the end of it, I was burned out. I quit and I never did any psychic work again.
So how long did you do it?
I did it for a couple months, then I stopped, and I came back, and came back a few times. Like I do it for a couple months, stop, then do it for a couple months
Was
and
it good
stop.
money?
No, it was horrible money.
No. She said
Because
no.
if they say right, like you get 2.99 a
Oh
minute, they're
man.
charging the poor people. So they would talk to me what 2.99 a minute. So like 5 minutes is like $15, right?
Yeah.
By the time you
Wow.
10 bucks is like 30. And then I think you get like you didn't get 100, I can't remember now, but you got like a certain percentage of that, but you didn't get very much. And
Mm,
then if they didn't like your reading, which some people would just do that, they could call back and be like, I hated my reading. Okay, then they take that money away from you. So that
get
was a
out
hard
of
part too. Some
here.
people work in the system.
What
Yeah.
did you ever have anyone that just went for like a half hour? Like did you did you
I had
ever
to cut people
did you
off.
ever
Yeah.
really did you legitly make this is truth time, okay? I don't
Yeah.
think maybe you're out of contract with them, non-disclosure, I don't know. But
I don't remember
did
the
you
name of the
ever had a
company.
legit like reading?
What do you mean? Like if I had a legit reading?
No, did you ever legitly feel that you really connected with someone and you really feel comfortable that you really gave them a really good reading?
I think well, I mean most of the time. I mean, there's people
I'm
who
just
don't.
saying it's hard to do in a short amount of time. I'm just,
It's very hard. It's very hard. The
I'm
one
not
lady
not
I
saying anything
remember.
about your abilities.
No, no. One lady I remember specifically that I really worked with was the fact that she was, she had a relationship with a man whose family just wouldn't accept her, and she was like, "Do I wait for him?" And so we had to go through a lot of things, and I was like, "Dude, I mean not dude, but I said, lady, I mean not lady. I said, you have to look at it this
Hey,
way."
lady.
Lady, the dude left the country and he's like, my family doesn't want me to be with you, like he left the country. She's like, do I wait for him? I was like, dude, I'm not even psychic. If not even that, I'm gonna tell you probably not. You know what I mean? So, but
Right.
like, even when but the thing is, it's like so fast, right? And you're like, please don't make these life decisions based on this phone call. Like,
Right. So I've done a few times where I do a exercise where I do like tarot cards,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't do tarot cards to like give people life advice. I more do it to show them like, hey, the universe is connected, and this tarot card, is gonna connect whatever. It's gonna connect to whatever question you have. Man, I've done that so many times. It's so cool. But yeah, I couldn't imagine doing like just.
oh, like,
I don't. Yeah. I mean, if I talk to someone a while, I can start to like feel things better, or get a connection going. But yeah, I couldn't imagine like, and you can't see them either, do you?
you
It's
can't see
just
him. No, it's just
online
pure
too.
fun.
Oh
So you are
man,
just like you're just like super connected into focusing onto their energy, right?
yeah.
And like and it's so fast, and it has to be so hard, and it's so draining too, and it's just like you have to be on for like a certain amount of hours, so you can only clock out for a little bit and take some time to drink some water.
Wow.
People are doing like full sagings and like salt and shit in between, you know what I mean? Like,
There's
it's not the faint of heart, and it's hard. It's freaking hard.
how many people was there? Did you build a relationship? Did you have any friends there? Like,
No, I did
no.
not. I didn't develop like regulars or anything like that. Um,
What?
I just wanted to get in, do it real quick, give it a shot, and get out. But yeah, that was not something that I feel like it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, if people want to like learn how to do it fast, that'll teach you how to do it fast.
Yeah, I could
Yeah, I
feel
can
that.
feel that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
It's rough,
I'm
man.
getting a kickback here. Where's it coming?
Oh, is that me? Should I turn this
I
down?
don't know. It's all good. Mandolin says, Drew, you changed my entire energy by showing me the pendulum demo. Yeah, that was at Shasta a few years ago. You wanna do the pendulum demo for him?
Yeah, let me see. Let's see. I should have it right here. Hold on. My desk is a mess. Excuse me one moment.
Yeah, that's always a good one, and
People, I mean, it's a me. Oh, here we go.
it's about my existence about self-empowerment, and like trying and helping people find their sovereignty in their existence, and like
Yes.
that some of this stuff is just so proud starts unraveling other questions, when you start seeing these things.
Exactly. And it
Have you
makes
messed with this? I tapped on it a little bit before, but have you messed with this since then?
Yeah, I have. And I have shown people this as well to show them that the power of the words do have energy. And
Yeah.
and I've talked, was it before? Now I'm like, was it before the show or during the show where I talked about like I went
I
around and
don't.
I was like, this is sacred. This
No,
is
I think it was earlier. I'm just circling back. Yeah, that's
I got my
yeah, it's
pen.
just a profound truth. So you wanna tell them about it? Like,
Yeah. So I guess I could tell you guys what happened was Drew's like, get your pendulum, Jess. I'm gonna show you something. And I'm like, it's like, do you have a lighter? And I was like, well, I happen to have a lighter, which I do. So maybe I should grab that real quick. Oh, I do have one right here on my desk. See? I was prepared.
oh, there it is.
All right. So Drew showed me this light, not this lighter, but probably a lighter. But he showed me a lighter and he said to, lie it down on the table. And he's
If
yeah,
anybody's got pendulums right now, just
pendulum.
grab their pendulum, grab not the you don't have to light the lighter. That's a very important note. Like,
Yeah, no. It just you just have it sit there.
that was
I've
a
got
big confusing thing in one of these things. Like,
oh
it
no.
caused a big
Like,
uproar.
no, just an example. It's just for the example, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Did I do like this demo? I'm gonna give everybody a second to grab it. I've switched. I'm gonna switch pendulums. Okay. So what Drew showed me was it's really it's mind bending, and it's and it's something that can shift your paradigm and show you something that you probably didn't know before. Now, if you guys don't know, you're probably watching the show. You guys probably understand that pendulums are able to pick up energy and kind of show how the energy is moving. So, if you take your pendulum, right? So Drew said this is a lighter, right? And he said lighters are a tool. Lighters can be used. Am I doing this right, Drew?
I'm just glad that yeah.
I
Go for it.
remember. Am I
You're
right?
doing great. You're
Right?
doing
Okay.
great.
So basically, right? So you guys are gonna see, and I'm like, my desk is a mess because I do want to show you guys. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
Hold on.
I want to actually show you guys here, and please excuse the top of my desk. It is a mess. Okay. Let's see. Let's like wipe all the crap off here. All right, guys.
Jess,
Live.
I'm gonna give you the whole screen for a second.
Okay. So hopefully, See my desk? Okay, my desk is kind of dirty, and now it's just my boobs too. So I don't want to show you. Okay, maybe we can't do that. Uh, okay, so what I'm going to show you guys is, so Drew said, if you say, you can show right now, I'm holding it directly above the lighter, and it's not moving, right? So So if you say like this lighter is just a crappy lighter, it doesn't do anything, it's just a piece of plastic with some metal. That's about it. Just plastic, doesn't do anything, right? But then if you change the words and you start to say things like this lighter is a sacred object. I use this lighter to, light my incense before I do my prayers. This lighter can light a candle and illuminate the night. And then you can see as you change the words, guys, as you change the words, right? This thing just starts going. Now, if you're doing it at home, right? Now, let's see if I can show you real quick. Ah, darn it. Let's do it again. Okay, just excuse my boobs, please. Okay. So, ready? So this is just a lighter, right? This is just a lighter. This is a sacred lighter. This is a sacred object. This is an object that lights candles and incense for prayers. It's a crappy piece of plastic. Aw. But you're a nice lighter. All right. So I think that kind of gives you guys the idea. Okay, let's go back up. Sorry. I didn't mean to put it too low there. Hopefully it's not too bad. Oh no, Drew, you're muted.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Had to have a little smoke break in the background, but
No
yeah,
worries, no worries.
that was perfect, Jess. Other than you're using your sexual pull to gain
I didn't mean
viewers
to
and
do.
stuff
I
like
was
that.
like, oh no, my
That's all
God.
right. That's all right. Like it's in the UFO
Don't
community,
clip
whatever.
that, guys. Please don't clip that, guys. Please don't.
No, but seriously though, that was a great demonstration, and to add to that, like, one, that's why I show people to do it so they can feel the energy. Like, if you see and Jess do it, you're like, okay, she's spinning that, like
Maybe I
crazy Jess is spinning it. But if you're holding it, you can feel the pull. You can feel the pull of the pendulum or object itself. I think that's an important thing to point out. Also,
because it'll
this
start going like fast. The more like positive kind of energy is put towards it, it starts to you could feel it really move.
yeah, and also this isn't something new, like Dr. Emoto has spoken about how energy works and stuff like that, and this is just showing like the same thing about positive and negative vibrations, how it affected water. And I think I spoke about this on your show.
Yes. Yes, we
And
did.
yeah, so it's not any secret that the pendulum just shows you these energies, and that just if people can see this magic in their hands, like, and that's why I like to talk about the pendulum
It's magic. It
the
is very
pendulum thing a lot.
yeah.
And I tell people they don't have to use a crystal, they don't have to use anything special. Like,
No.
they can use a beer top, on a string, and I've done that before just to prove to people that it doesn't, it's just
You can like
showing
tie a
energy.
string to even a pencil. Like when I was a kid, my auntie used to do that to show us like a pendulum, like not a like you could put a sewing needle right in the middle on a thread, right? And then you have a pendulum. Almost everybody has that, right?
So your aunt was showing you this when you were a kid, with the
Oh
pendulums?
yeah, yeah. When I was, because I grew up in like this kind of family where in the culture it was like it was part of the, it was just normal, right? So my auntie, when they would do when somebody was pregnant, they would put the pendulum over the wrist, and then they would ask if it was a boy or if it was a girl. And if I believe it was a girl, it was a circle, and if it was a boy, it would go back and forth.
Hmm.
I don't know if old wives' tale, aunties, I don't know.
No, I believe it. That's I do this thing where I've helped people like clear their chakras just by like identifying where identifying what chakras are blocked using a pendulum. That's when I first started doing all this. That's what I was doing. I was using a pendulum to find out what energy was blocked and then clearing that chakra. And then that in turn starts to clear physical ailments, because the chakras really, energy work is really how you cure physical ailments, like absolutely cure them. You can mask them with prescription medications, this and that, but healing the energetic trauma that's causing the physical ailment, that's anyone that knows QHHT. I got a friend actually staying with us right now for visiting. That's a QHHT practitioner,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, so we have some interesting conversation. I think she's probably in the chat room. So
Oh, that's so
shout out
cool.
shout out to Rhonda. Anyone looking for a QHHT practitioner? Rhonda's a level 2 QHHT Dolores Cannon School
Lord's-
of Regression Therapy. So yeah, a good friend of mine. We've been had a lot of adventures, been to conferences, and
Oh, awesome.
yeah, I introduced her to ayahuasca, and yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's have you had any experience with regression or anything? So let's hold on. I wanted to get back. You keep touching on this, but you never really talk about like what you spoke about as a like. Did you grow up in a cult or anything? Like what was it? Like what was
The Asian
this
background thing. It's just
the
my family.
Asian spiritual cult?
Yeah, it's just no, it's just I think they're just a little, like we it's just maybe my family's weird in Vietnam. I don't know, but I think like it's just more like normal that you talk about ghosts and spirits and things
I
like
gotcha.
that. And like, we have a lot of people in my family and myself included that have had a lot of mediumistic experiences and seeing a lot of ghosts and things like that.
So is the Vietnamese culture, is that like more Christianity based, or what was your spiritual upbringing? What would you call it?
Uh I guess kind of Buddhist.
Buddhist,
Like
okay.
Buddhist, yeah, like you know, I'm a bad religious person because I never really study any religious texts. So all I
Mhm.
know is, we'd go to temple like mostly on the New Year's, and do the New Year stuff, and that was about
So
it.
so reincarnation was a pretty common
Yes.
thing, a common conversation. And
Yes.
what was the what's the conversation? What was the conversation then about reincarnation, and what is your understanding now of reincarnation?
I guess before it was like, well, we're here and then we can come back again. And if you're good, you come back as a human. And if you don't do good, then you're going to come back as like, something else, like a lower animal, I guess, different consciousness. That was what I was taught growing up, and, that, sometimes, and that a lot of the people that we have in our lives are people that we have lived with before and that we've been connected to before in different lives. And it was pretty common, it's like, oh, okay.
So what's
So
your what's your
now
viewpoint on it now?
Now
And
it's different, I guess. Like I can't. It's like part of me. Like I hear about this heaven thing, and I'm like, oh, that sounds really nice. Like you go up there and you like hang out with your family and your friends and stuff. Um, and then the reincarnation circle thing, kind of like I'm like, do I just want to keep coming back here and like living again, and then realizing like, oh crap, I should have done this with my life or something, and coming back and not remembering and doing it again, like. There, I have mixed feelings on it. Like, do I want to keep coming back? Not really. I don't want to keep coming back, but maybe I do. Maybe I
yeah.
don't know that I don't. So I mean, growing up, that's kind of the understanding of like, after, somebody dies, they stay around for about a month, month and a half, and then they like get reincarnated and you like pray for their souls, to have a good reincarnation in the next life. So like once they're gone, then you're probably the problem I have with it the most though is like, oh, okay, so they're gone, right? Well then how do we see them still in our dreams and we still do ancestor worship? So to me, it's like there's probably like pieces of the soul that come back, and there's also pieces that move on, or your consciousness or whatever. That's, I guess, more how I see it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're confined when we're like right now I think we're confined to our existence. When we sleep, I think those doors open up and we're released, and I think that we're released
Okay.
in between experiences.
My dog is eating my door right now, Drew. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god, go ahead.
Can I
Yeah,
please let him out because he's eating the bottom of the door?
go for
Give me 1 second. I'll be right.
it. All right. I'll go through let me go through the pat let's see. Yeah. Yeah, Rhonda's out here. She is braving the wind and everything out here. Cough, bloodline. Uh, yeah, just scratching the surface of who Jess is.
I'm back. He just ate like probably a couple layers of paint off. I can see a wood about the size of his little puppy mouth like exposed on the door now.
Oh my god, he ate under the door?
He ate like he was chewing on the bottom of the door, like, so he got his little mouth under the bottom of the door and started chewing it.
I've had a situation like that. I've had a situation like that.
He's about 8 months old, and he yeah, you get out of here, get out of here, go. I'm gonna wait, hold on, he's going out. He's
What's the dog's name? Is this Loki? Isn't Jess fun, guys? Isn't she
no,
fun?
people know, they know.
What's the dog's name?
His name is Loki. He is the puppy of
Loki. See, I
chaos.
thought that because a lot of people are talking Loki. Like,
Yeah, I
did you?
wasn't gonna call him that, but he is just my little puppy of chaos. And the name stuck really good. Name stuck really good, and he's lived up to his name as much as possible. One time,
So
Drew, I'm gonna share. Can I share a Loki story for you? A good one.
I wish you would.
I had a guest on. I think it was Dr. Robert Bosnick, and he's like a Jungian psychologist, right? So he's like one of those, like, he's like Avi Loeb, like he's a smart dude, right? And I'm like, and this little puppy is burrowing into the bottom of the couch, right? And I just hear, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm like, I hear him, but I don't see him. And then I look and I'm like, oh shit, he's inside of the couch. And I don't know what to do. I have like 15 minutes left of the show. I'm like, do I leave the dog in there? What do I do? So I run over and I'm like, oh shit, he's in the couch. So I lift the couch up and he goes shooting out of the couch because I thought he might have been dead in there or something, gotten hurt. I don't know. And then I get him back in here, and he just, because he got stuck, he was angry, and he started just ripping the bottom of the couch. There's no more lining. He can't get stuck in there anymore. He's a
Yeah.
monster. Yeah.
So is like a fold up couch, or is
No,
like
it's
a
a
hide a
tiny
bed
little.
couch?
It's like a two person like seat. It's like small enough to fit in the studio, so I can sit down when I don't want to sit at the desk.
Oh,
So
just a
it's,
hollow spot.
yeah, it's
There's
just
just
a
a
hollow
hollow spot
spot.
underneath.
Yep, he got in there, and I poked him, and he jumped out, and I was like, "You mother beeper!" God. But I
Just
love him. But he's not he doesn't, unless he's sleeping. He's not behaved enough to sit in
hold
here
it.
during stuff.
How old is he?
8 months.
8 months. What kind of
Yeah,
dog is it?
he's a Jack Russell mix. I know we. I mean, I think we think he's a Jack Russell mix. He could be something else, but he looks very Jack Russell-y. Let me see if I have a. I mean, not that I have to show a photo of Loki. A lot of people know that he is just he's a bundle of joy and chaos. Let's see. Uh, Not that I have like 500 million pictures of Loki, but
You
here's a
got
Loki. There he is.
oh yeah.
Yeah, he can jump.
You got to throw it up on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it.
Everybody go over to Twitter, follow Jess, and give Loki a like. Uh,
I'm gonna find a good Loki
what's
picture.
your handle over there, Jess? Is it escape?
It is Escape the Sim Rad because I was trying to do simulation radio because somebody had escaped the simulation. So it's Escape the Sim Rad. SIMRAD.
Can you throw it up in the chat? Are you in the chat?
Yeah, I can write that in the chat. Hold on 1 second here.
I'm not a good speller. I misspell stuff all the time, so I don't want to throw it up and then
Okay, I'll do that.
somebody can't be finding your stuff.
At
And if you look down, everybody, if you look down below, we are live right now. But if you're listening to the replay, check out the chat. The chat was super interesting. We ain't done yet. I'll go just as long as Jess wants to talk. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm still here. If
Yeah.
people are having fun, it's
Yeah, let's take some questions from the interview. Questions from the chat room. If anybody has any questions for Jess or myself, or anybody wants to ask questions about Loki or any other things that little puppy's destroyed, I'm sure Jess would love to talk about it.
I would
any-
love to talk about it because even right here, this is electrical tape because he's tried to eat my headphones already.
Oh my god, that's no good.
Yeah, he's a monster.
So,
But,
so what?
yeah.
Where do you think that? Where do you think your show's gonna be at 5 years?
God, I hope that I'm doing it at least like 4 days a week or something, maybe. I hope to do I hope to be able to afford to do go out and do some in-person interviews with people eventually. But I really hope that I can expand my show. I want to be like one of those big radio guys. That's kind of my dream of the whole thing, is to be one of those guys. I guess that's where I think right now. I just want a kind of a big show where I can promote a lot of people and have a lot of interesting conversations. Oh, thank you, Sarah. My flock.
There's Jess over on Twitter. Yeah, and any other links is down below in the description box for the video. So go check her out. Link up with her. What are you gonna? Is there any books in the future? Like,
God, I'd like to write one, but I don't. Guess I'm still waiting for the inspiration to come to me to what to write about. I think this year, especially with the changing the name of the show, is kind of helping me to kind of be more myself and be more open about my journey because I'm like that's part of the whole damn thing is if I don't share my journey, how do you guys no, there has to be some value somewhere in all this whole thing to share with people and help inspire people. And maybe someone's like, hey, I kind of can empathize, or I've had a similar experience myself.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. Just
Yeah.
I figured I talk about like the mirror aspect of this whole thing that we're going through. As individually, collectively, but it's the mirror aspect of it all. Like we're looking at each other, we're looking at particles of ourselves all the time, whether we know it or not. We're kind of the only person here, and everything else is a simulation. And everybody, we all have that same things valid in each and every one of us. It's really hard to wrap your head around, but once you do, it's like, okay, like this is pretty cool. Like,
Yeah. No, I think when I was talking to you and you were kind of explaining that to me, how it's like only you were really real and only you were really experiencing this experience and you were real and you were experiencing your experience, but somehow these worlds are colliding, right? And we were able to connect. And so
yeah,
I
and
think you don't think I thought about this a lot about this. And I was like, and when I talked to him, I'm like, yeah, this is just me experiencing another part of me and shit. No, it gets deep, man. But no, and I hear you, man.
it's it's hard. What you got to realize at one point, you ain't supposed to really grasp all this, like all the fine details. You're not, and I think Dolores Cannon said it best. Like,
I love
uh,
Dolores.
she's like, don't live in this world. You can visit this world, like visit this stuff and take back what you can. You know, she said don't take at anything. She's like, this is just like word can like brain candy or something like that. You know,
Mm,
way she was putting it. But I think I think that's valid, but I also think like it's time to start bringing some of it back and seeing what molds into this reality more and more and more. Like start melding the two, you know, the two worlds together. Because you can, I'm confident that I have a grasp on the other side. Like not know what it is, how it
no,
works, but I know it's there and I know I'm connected to it. You know, and that's all that matters. Like that's all I need to concentrate on. I don't need to know how the code's written. I don't need to meet the code writer. I don't need to know any of that. I'm in awe of seeing the matrix unfold in the moment.
yes, yes, I would agree with
Let's
that.
what
I
it,
agree with you. I agree with you on that. Um, Now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, have you seen Outer Range? Do you watch any shows?
I do. I haven't watched Outer Range yet. I want to
Oh
watch
my
Outer
god,
Range
it's
so
so
bad.
good. It's
I want to
good.
watch it so bad. I'm gonna add
It's
it to
good.
my.
Okay, we can't talk about it because I
We
can't.
can't talk about it.
Ugh.
Uh,
Next time.
Next
Next
time I'm
time.
gonna watch it because I really want to watch it.
What's the last Mindbender you watched?
Oh man,
Is current situation U.S. political return?
I would say I like. I mean movie. I just watched the Multiverse of Madness last weekend. Have you seen that yet?
No, no, I haven't. What's that? What's that on?
So that's still in the theaters.
Oh wow.
So maybe not yet, but it's the new Doctor Strange, and it touches on multi dimensions. It touches on contact. It basically, one of the big themes is like in your dream state that they talk about in the film, you're able to connect to other versions of yourself in other realities.
I love. So let's talk about that. Like, what
Yeah.
have you been experiencing that more and more? Like the universe speaking through everything. Like, have you seen evidence of that? In my opinion, I have. Like, I'd love to
No,
hear your thoughts.
I have, and I think I feel, and I've noticed like an increased amount of like synchronicities with things, and things really lining up and being like, oh wow, I just like talked about that, or I just read about that, and then it just comes up, and it keeps coming, and different things keep coming up. Like I wonder, right? I wonder why there's been this trend in Hollywood that is also talking about like a lot of multi-dimensional stuff, especially like with the Disney Marvel stuff. There was another movie that just came out, the Everything All at Once or something like that, Everything Now something. But there's a lot of these different like multiverse kind of things, and I'm like wondering why there's kind of this shift towards this in mainstream media, because it's like things like maybe me and you have like questioned and thought about and got into, but not like the normal like people. But now it's in like the consciousness of the regular media, and like even that Outer Range show you're talking about, I think there's like a lot of like supernatural or paranormal themes within
Definitely,
it.
definitely. It's a mind bender, and definitely it's it's one of those. I will say this that that show is definitely evidence that the universe is speaking through everything. Uh,
Nice.
I This is no lie. One time I was watching I was watching Walking Dead, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, if the universe is speaking through everything, have it show me it's speaking through Walking Dead.
Did.
Listen what happened. Like 10 seconds later, someone's driving this semi and on the screen, and there's a big eagle on the screen.
No shit. See?
And
Boom.
I'm just like, man, I cannot believe it. It just happens so much. I can't even deny it anymore. It's just a lot easier not to deny it because it just makes it easier. Uh,
Yeah.
Man, the documentary I want to watch, I haven't watched yet, is
Oh,
Carolyn
Carolyn Corey's new one, the one, The Tear in the
Tear in the
Sky.
Sky.
I have not
She
seen it
said
myself.
she did an interview with Billy the other night, and I listened to
Oh,
that interview,
nice.
and she said at the end they have footage of it, a tear in the sky.
I'd like
Like,
to see that footage.
I've kind of seen something like, I've seen some things like that before, but in ceremony, and a
Yeah.
few times just um yeah, I'm just interested to see what it is.
As am I, because I believe they have like scientific kind of like reportings of it as well. Like they've been, I mean, I think I saw like some measuring data. They're trying to get data on it too. So, I mean, what the hell? So, does that mean there is a dimensional tear in the reality that they were able to capture?
So here's the premise. What I understand from the filming only took part 5 days. All the
Okay.
filming, and they have some I guess pretty from this is just from the interview. I haven't seen disclaimer. I haven't seen it, and I have no ties to it. I'm not promoting or anything. I'm just speaking about it. But she they it was over 5 days, and they were filming with flare, um like special
Yeah.
infrared detecting devices, like military grade stuff. She said they're $50,000 a piece, and there was 8 of them, and
Shit.
they're filming the whole time so they could film the whole sky. But they picked up, I guess, some pretty profound footage, and at the end there is a tear in the sky, that there is some type of dimensional tear that they did film. um
Shit going on.
yeah, and they said it was like only a couple thousand feet in the air. Like, so, and a lot of this footage is of craft like only a couple thousands feet in the air.
Interesting. That,
Yeah.
man, I'd like to see that. I need to watch that because I haven't seen it. I'm interested.
Yeah,
So,
I got a video I posted too, not to plug myself or anything, but I did post my first video in a while of a craft. This was sent to me by somebody else. And this was taken up by anyways, it's a Breckenridge, Colorado last year.
okay.
And it's a craft flying along a ridge line. And yeah, and then I have got some other footage that I'm editing, other people are sending me, that's of crafts. I think it's interesting, people sharing their stories and everything, and um, like that. And it's awesome that's coming out more and more now.
Yeah, no, I think it's good too that people are more comfortable sharing because too, the more people share about like experiences and these videos and these photos that they do take, then more people are more comfortable to share. I used to use this and I used to say like people are easy to tell ghost stories like I saw a ghost or my friend saw a ghost. But people are not, maybe they are now, but when I used to say this all the time people weren't, but they weren't as likely to tell you about a UFO experience or some sort of alien experience. But now it seems that it's changed. My favorite story is I was wearing a UFO shirt, just a little UFO, kind of like you have a UFO in your shirt, and I was talking about UFOs in the lobby of a restaurant with my sister, and we sat down, and this older gentleman came up to us and he goes, I was in the Navy back, blah, blah, back like fucking, I think he was in the Korean War or something. He was an old man. And he said, we used to see those things all the time. And he's like, I'm glad I could share that with you. And then he just kind of like walked off and ate his dinner. But he was like super excited to say, like, hey, I saw a UFO.
Hmm. Yeah, I've had actually no actually it's funny. I remembered a story of someone telling me a while back, like a couple of years ago, and I kind of brushed it off at the time, that they were telling just a story that they heard before, because this is after like the Nimitz stuff and all that. But he's
Hmm.
talking about how they was in the Navy, saw a ship, or didn't know what it was, this, that, and the other. I get asked all the time, like, being in the military, being in Iraq, they're like, oh, you ever have any UFO stories in Iraq? I'm
Yeah, yeah.
like, no. I'm like, I was always looking on the ground. Like,
Like,
I was never at the point where I was just like, hey, let's like look up at the sky. I had a different deployment than some. I didn't have any time to look up. during my deployments too much. So I didn't get to mess around with the night vision. Definitely had it, but it was more pointed
Like this.
horizontally. Yeah.
Like that.
For various reasons. But
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
yeah, it's very interesting times. But I never had any experiences like that, you know. I not that I can remember. But
Yeah. No, me too. Me too.
so no UFO experiences, but
Nope, nope. Paranormal
paranormal connected.
paranormal connected very much so. No UFO experiences. Like my mom says she sees beings all the time, but I've never seen any beings, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm like very not
So
UFO thing.
what's your other side? Like what's your father's side?
Father's side is like Scottish, English, Irish.
So any druid stuff, like anything
Like,
like
oh,
that?
hold on. I know hold on. I know this through ancestry.com. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you. Because no, like I've been starting to try to like look into like because my dad didn't really know much either because he says like he likes to say like my dad's side has been here so long they caught the rope on the Mayflower. That's what my dad says, you know.
Whoa.
Yeah. Hold on.
So there's Pat when you get a chance. What's your thoughts on remote viewing? You have any
Ooh,
experience with that?
yeah, I do, Pat. I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you, Pat. Um I've like I guess it's like Scottish, English, Irish, and a little bit of Norwegian and Swedish. Okay. What are my thoughts on remote viewing? Um, I've tried remote viewing and I believe that it works. What I realized remote viewing was something that I already kind of naturally did when I did readings was kind of connect to somebody's consciousness and kind of look around from where they are, you know, and see that. So I kind once I realized that's what that was, I realized that's what remote viewing was kind of. And being able to like, because I tried before, I've done at least one experiment. It wasn't very scientific, but I did like a controlled remote viewing experiment where I tried the technique. You know, I listened to like the HemiSync stuff and was able to, you know, remote a couple targets that were chosen for me and not disclosed to me, and I was only given a number.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How'd that go? Like what? Let's dive into
Yes.
that.
Yeah, so I had David Powell on, and he was a controlled remote viewer. He is a remote viewer. Dang it. Uh and so he's like, Jess, before I come on, I want you to do an experiment. I was like, yo, I'm gonna do it. Dope. I'm gonna listen to the HemiSync. If you guys don't know HemiSync, like it's this like music-y tone, brum, 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 and then it's supposed to like, you know, activate different the hemispheres of your brain and kind of connect them more. So I did that, and I was like, all right. So I asked I had a person pick a location for me, write it down, and then give me the numbers. And I think we only did a 3-digit number. So what I did was like I focused on that 3-digit number. And for me, like listening to the HemiSync, it was like being in a, you know, in a darkness and you're just kind of picturing, and it's kind of like a visualization for me was like it's pulling you're pulling yourself up and kind of like trying to figure out where the location is, and you come back down, you look, is that it? No. Is that it? No. Then you kind of get closer to it, and then I tried another way too, is just kind of using these visualizations that I kind of came up with as I was doing it. And the second one I did, which I kind of like too, was I imagined like it was black and then there's a door, and then I imagined opening the door, and through the door I was able to remote view the location when I exited the door. It kind of looked like to me, I think what I was visualizing was like kind of like a cerebro Professor X kind of thing, where you're kind of looking and searching through the darkness to connect to these different areas. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
It's I think it's
that's
yeah, yeah.
something. That's something I wish I could do more, like remote viewing. I don't like. I've lost like my visual on a lot of stuff. I don't have visions anymore. Like per se, they're more like energy feelings. You know
Interesting. It's
that
just
are I don't know that are very clear, but they're not like a picture.
hmm.
Yeah. So I
I
don't
get
like
sure.
I don't really have sightings too much unless they're with other people. Like
That's interesting.
yeah, I think I think it's a process. Like once you get to a certain point, there's no point in crafts showing themselves to me, and anymore. I believe in them, unless it's something to for me to see, and maybe that's the reason. Like you don't have like maybe you're past that. That's
Yeah.
may- um that's you know you don't need to see that to believe anything. And I think seeing a craft is a big paradigm shift. That's this is one of the ways I vet people, like, and I may have spoken about this on your show. This is the way I vet people that has experiences,
Yeah.
of if they've seen craft or whatever. I ask them, what you learn from the experience. If you're not learning from anything from the experience, chances are you may not had a genuine experience. Not judging or anything, but
It could have been
I, I
something.
I believe that there's no reason for a ship to show themselves or to materialize or let you visualize it, because I've known instances where people stand side by side and one person sees a ship and one person doesn't, just
Yeah,
because it's in their vibrational field and it's not in the other.
I
But
agree with that
it's
so much.
for a reason.
Yeah,
It's
one
for a reason.
100%. I think that's what you told me that, and I was like, no, I don't think I need to see one because I don't. That's not like what I need to see. But if I tell you what I needed to see, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm wait. I'm holding my breath. About to
so I
pass out.
no, I've been kind of. I shared this story the other night on lighting the void. But so a big shift for me happened, and you kind of talked about like you asked for a, to be shown like through the universe a sign when you're watching The Walking Dead, and it kind of reminded me of the story. So I've been and we've kind of talked about my microdosing journey before. I think we talked before a little bit on my show last time I saw you. But I think it kind of changed my vibration from what I understand, because there was this experience where I was like, there was a thunder and lightning storm, right? And so a friend of mine was like, Jess, one time there was a thunder and lightning storm, and I was like, hey, Thor. And she said Thor like answered her and like through hail and lightning, right? So I says, there's a thunderstorm, right? And I look out this window and I go, hey, Thor. And I go out to the front porch like an asshole. I'm a fucking asshole, right? I'm going, Thor, if this shit is real, prove it to me. I'm standing on my porch right over here, right? And I hear fucking lightning, thunder, lightning, thunder, lightning, thunder. It gets fucking faster, right? I can feel the electricity in the air. It hits immediately, freaking the lightning. It's immediate, right? So I know it hit real close, right? And I feel electricity in there. I was like, oh, motherfucker, you go in the house now, Jess. Run, run. Go in the house, right? And I hear the next thing I know, this eye of the storm is over my house and it's dropping fucking hail like crazy. So,
Damn. That's wild.
no, and that's not the only time. It happened one more time.
When you were microdosing or not microdosing?
The second time I was not microdosing. The first time I
I do want
was.
to say one thing.
Yeah.
One of my horses named Thor.
Oh, that is so awesome. I
Yeah.
love your horse, Thor. Thor, hail Thor.
This is a funny story about him. He showed
Yeah.
up. I bought him, and one of the things that the previous owner told me: be careful, ride him in if it's about to storm. He's he reacts to the lightning, even if it's way off. Like he'll
Yeah.
react to it, and just that's his only hang up. So he shows up. This like I go and visit him. I ride him. He's great. They bring him to deliver him. It is like a crazy ass storm. Like it's the raining so bad. I'm wearing like a raincoat and everything. It's thundering, lightning, like winds blowing, howling, and it doesn't rain a lot out here in the desert. But I was like, okay, his name was Gus.
Gus. No, Thor is
He's-
a more befitting name of
he,
him.
yeah, he showed up and his name got changed to Thor real quick.
Yeah. He's such a Thor.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Oh,
He's settled in now. Nice though. He's a good horse.
he's a happy
So
Thor.
what's the other time that
Yeah.
you
So,
manipulated the storm, Jess?
yeah. So there's two more stories that finish this and it ends with Loki, which is great, right? So what happened the second time, right? I was like, it can't happen again. I hear a thunderstorm, right? And I'm like, would it happen again? It can't happen again. So I go to the window like an asshole and I say, hey, Thor, if you're real, prove it. Hail Thor, right? And it starts coming, and I can feel like in my mind's eye, I imagine this like chariot like coming towards my house as the thunder and lightning are getting like closer and closer together. And I shit you not, and it was like, but it was so fast. It was so fast. It hits, and the fucking power just flashes in my house, right? And I look out the window, and it hit the lightning right, hit the power pole just a couple houses down from my street, caught on fire. The fire department's coming. The power is out. It struck several parts in my town. It struck on my goddamn street here, excuse my language. And the power was out for more than 24 hours. And then I was like, Jess, maybe don't mess with Thor.
Man, you gotta
So
be careful with this, Jess. Jeez.
I know I ran it. It was so violent, Drew, that I closed the door. I brought the dogs because my room is like facing the front, right? And I was like, no, mother, fuck it, you go in the hallway. Close the
So you
door.
didn't believe it yet?
Oh, I believed it at that point. and and then so I met Loki, right, the dog, and there was a thunderstorm like the next night, right? And so I was like, okay. I said, hey, Thor. I got your little I named my dog Loki, like, just so I honor your power and your strength. And it was like this most gentlest roll of thunder, like in the distance, like, haha, like, now. So I learned
That's
my
funny.
lesson through. It is pretty funny. Like, I know not to, like, don't challenge. Like, I guess here's the thing that Drew taught me. Words have power, and you have to be careful what you say sometimes, because things like that. No, like the
Dude,
it
do
got
not
really violent with the lightning, and it
dude,
hit
do
really
not be Lieutenant Dan. Do not be Lieutenant
close.
Dan.
Lieutenant Danning it, and I ran in the hallway. I closed the door. I'm like, stay away from the windows, guys.
Yeah, you went full on Lieutenant Dan on him.
I
And
Yeah,
yeah,
you can't. Be careful, guys. Be
yeah,
careful.
don't do that.
Yeah,
I definitely had experience with the flute and all that. That's pretty
that's why.
amazing.
Yeah. So can you? We never got to get into what happened with the flute, because earlier I did want to get into that, and you tried to stop me from interviewing
Oh,
you back.
okay. So me and Renato was hiking with the group. This is the same time I found the elk skull, but this is at the beginning of the day. The elk skull was at the end of the day. So this is going back to when we first started the hike. It was started to rain, like right when we got on the trail. It started to rain, and we found two big pine trees to get under and like shelter from the rain. We were starting up the mountain, so the water was hitting us, and it was just like ice cold.
Oof.
So we were standing under. We found these two huge pine trees that had like just a huge ass canopy underneath, bone dry up underneath them. We're just sitting under there watching the rain. We already drank some medicine. We was hiking with Wachuma, San Pedro medicine, and we were sitting there, and it just kept raining harder and harder and harder. And then the started thunder started rumbling, and then lightning started to hit the mountain like above us. Like it, I recognize I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, it's hitting the trail where we're walking. It's hitting the trail, like up there. And I'm just sitting there in the tree, and I look at Renato, and he's like, just take it how it goes. And I was just like, yep, just take it how it goes. Like that's what we tell everyone. Like we have to be on Wachuma hikes. Whatever happens that day, you have to be ready for it. So bring change of clothes. Like it might pour down rain, it might be really hot, whatever. But we're going to take whatever the universe teaches us. Some of the people in the chat room, Brian, if you're still listening, I know he's experienced this firsthand. But he, I'm just sitting there watching him, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And Renato goes, "Hey, can you play the flute?" And I was like, "Sure." I pulled out my flute, started playing the flute a little bit, and like, I'm not shitting you, just like there's the clouds above us started like separating like a circle, and it was still storming, but it was just like a circle was opening up above us, and I'm like, wow, in my mind, I'm still going, what a quinky dink, like,
Right? I just have
I'm not really putting it together fully, I'm saying, wow, this is cool, but I'm not really giving it the full um,
amazing.
attention that it deserves. And I put the flute away. I'm just getting excited. Like, I'm like, okay, like it's clearing up. Like we're about to take off. And it just like, whoop,
Oh, it goes back up again.
yeah, it's like
Showed
crash,
you.
crash, crash, crash. It's like lightning was crashing above us. And I look over at Renato, and he's just like smirking behind his hand. He's like, didn't I tell you to play the fucking fruit, bro? He's like a hardcore, like Chilean, like accent. And I was like, all right, pull back out the flute. And I just played and played and played. And it just like, and yeah, we were up and walking about 15 minutes later. And he's like, you starting to see now. And I'm just like, he's just, the way he teaches is just so intuitively and very, very little words. And I'm just so grateful for how, how I was shown everything.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that experience. It is amazing, and I think the way he taught sounds like a good way to teach. Like he's just kind of showing you and like being like, okay, do this, and you'll see why.
It took me out. Some of it wasn't immediate, like that was immediate. Like, but
That
there's
is
tons of
amazing.
there's tons of stuff that it took me a while to unpack it, and I'm still unpacking. Like, yeah, just has a very very awesome way to teach. The pendulum thing. He didn't
Present.
show me the pendulum thing. I watched him after a ceremony one time, and he was messing with the pendulum, and then that's what got me thinking about one. I went to a metaphysical store a few days later, and I was like, okay, I'm going to buy one. And I walk in the metaphysical store, and they're like, there's like 20 of them or so on this rack. And I was like, oh, I wonder which one. And I went to go grab one.
And which one?
Shit you not, Jess. Like they were pulling towards my hand, like as I went
I
by
want to
them.
go with you.
And what actually this one right here, this one pulled. Oh, let me see
Is
you
it a
see it.
quartz?
Yeah, it's a quartz.
Pretty. I love quartz.
But yeah, this is my first one. Here you can see it over in the corner. Man,
Like,
this I'm trying to get this radio thing right, and all these.
oh, nice, nice. I like that one too.
Hold on.
There we go.
There we go. That's the one that
That's
started it
nice.
all. Now I got a Herkimer diamond that was gifted to.
Ooh,
Oh, that one's right here.
I like
This
her.
is my pinpoint one. Showed off my rock collection.
This is live, guys.
Geeking out,
Yeah,
geeking out in Drew's.
mm,
So that's my most prized one. That's Herkimer diamond from New York.
nice.
That's
Very nice.
the that's for that's for high intense surgery.
Ooh, I like those. Those are nice. I have one. My oldest one broke. I need to put the
Show them
chain.
off. We're geeking out. We're geeking
Yeah,
out
let me,
over here.
let me show you.
But
So the chain. This is the one that I use. Oh, that's nice. Is that what is that? Is that black? Some tourmaline? Is it tourmaline? No.
um, I don't know what the composite is. I will tell you that this is a very interesting story behind this rock. This
Do
is
tell.
Renato got. So I guess I'm telling you the whole time Renato visited the last time when I graduated. He handed me this, and he said it was um a thumb drive.
Yeah,
So
thumb
where this
drive.
yeah. So he told me where he got this from. This Teotihuacan, the pyramid there, Teotihuacan, he was meditating by a tree on the outer skirts of that. And he sat down and he was meditating. He saw this warrior, and he picked this up. He looked down, and this was right between his feet where he was sitting at. He
Oh
picked it up
wow.
and cleaned it off, and this is a piece of a blade of a ceremonial sword where they used to decapitate people at the top of Teotihuacan when it was used to
Holy
be by the
shit.
Aztecs and everything.
Holy
So this is
shit.
like, a, yeah. I wonder if the FBI is if the FBI is listening. I should be getting a visit soon. But this is
Don't forget that.
this is yeah. I wrapped it in copper and everything and put it on.
Mhm.
Uh, it's not even a necklace. It's strictly for that. It's a very interesting piece. If you
That is
look up,
very
man, I wish I could. I wish I was good enough to figure out how to share screen, but
me
they
too.
have. You can look up Aztec ceremonial swords made of stone, and yeah, remember that I showed you that piece.
Yeah.
See the edging on it. It's hard to, but it's like a
Kind of. Yeah.
clear.
Yes.
It's
So
a
what is it?
clear.
Just I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, look it up. It's a Aztec ceremonial sword with green, um, with stone, and you'll see that on the sticks there was multiple stones that was
Oh,
carved with very sharp edges. This is off of one of those swords.
holy schmolies. Is it the Makahu? I'm not even gonna try. It's a hand blade. Maybe it's obsidian. Obsidian.
Could be,
Is this
could
kind of?
be.
Is this kind of what you mean?
Yep.
See.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Like this lady's
that's
drumming.
one of the. That's maybe not the same one, but that's the same sort of a sword. But that was this. Renato said that he connected with this, and he said that this was part of one of the swords that actually took place in the actual sacrifice ceremonies that they did to the sun gods at the top of Tewanaka, where they
Mm,
were decapitating people, let the heads roll down the big stairs, all that stuff.
that's like. Have you seen that movie Apocalypto?
I did. So that's yeah,
Oh, that's kind of like it's they do that in that movie. If you guys haven't seen that one, if you want to kind of see what that would look like.
yeah. So that's the sword that they use on there supposedly, and yeah, supposedly that's pieces from one of those swords. This piece right here.
Wow, that's got to be have some interesting energy on it.
This is from Area 51.
Ooh, some alien
Just
stone.
right on the edge. This is from Eric the Awakening Man. Gifted me
Oh,
that a while
nice,
back.
nice, nice.
Yeah, that's I just had a lot of. Oh, this is from Contact in the Desert in
Ooh,
2019.
oh wow. Was that like the last contact in the desert? I think.
I think so. Um,
What is this now? What
so
is
it's
this
like,
now?
look,
What does it say?
it says Contact in the Desert 2019.
Shit, see, I couldn't see that. Holy crap, man, that's awesome. I have. Oh man. I went to Contact in the Desert once, like years ago. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to like go and like meet people and like
Yeah,
and really just like
yeah, it was. I didn't. I went and met people. I didn't speak. I didn't speak at
Mhm.
Contact ever. I spoke to other conferences, but not Contact. But I did go in 2019, and I was asking why I was there, like just in my head, one
Yeah.
time, and they was like for Contact. And I was like,
Oh,
you're here to make contact, like. And I met Ruben Langdon then.
yeah.
Yeah, we become friends over the years. He's had experience with ayahuasca. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the connection to that first Avatar movie and ayahuasca. There was a deleted scene in there he's going to be talking about. Um, yeah, if you haven't seen the first Avatar, you can look it up. You might be able, if you want to look it up now, Jess, if you don't mind. Avatar deleted ayahuasca scene,
Is there such a
and or yeah, or you can type in Ruben Langdon, and that will bring up where he talks about it and explains. This is interesting about Ruben. I just was doing some pre-interview work, like listening to some of his interviews on the side the other day. I cannot believe he found out about ayahuasca from James Cameron during the
Shut up.
filming of Avatar.
Shut
Yeah,
James Cameron? No
yes.
shit.
They
No.
said they were talking about a scene, and they're like, "This is derived from a South American ceremony, ayahuasca. This is what this scene was derived from."
No way. Is this where he got all the Avatar like ideas from?
Yeah, it come from
Wow.
ayahuasca. It come from an ayahuasca vision.
No shit.
So the whole premise behind the Avatar movie is, just an indigenous race that's being invaded by the government, taken over, being raped and pillaged for resources, this, that, and the other. That's the basis behind the Avatar movie, and it's really showing there's a lot of hidden truths in the Avatar movie, like about reality,
Yeah.
and I
And they're having a
include
new Avatar. Did you know
and
that?
yes. And I'm sad to say that I don't think Ruben's going to be part of the second one, but it's
Oh no.
I can't wait for him to share his experience. Like we talked. We're going to get into the show more, like the interviews with extra dimensionals. You should check that out if you haven't.
Yeah, yeah, I want to check that out.
Oh man, it's mind blowing stuff. Like it gives so much credit to, not credit, but it makes it so much easier, like some of the channeling I've been through and stuff. Like it makes it more real for me, because I can accept it better because there's other people that has experienced. I think that's the hardest thing for us, man. Like we see something and then we're so closed off for a while, and we don't want to talk about it. um my buddy Trev is coming out here in a couple weeks for ceremony, and he's an old friend from Georgia. Like, so
Awesome.
it's one thing that I prayed for a lot, like, one, my family and people that I know. Like, that's the first prayer that you have when you have the awakening, whether it's anywhere. You want to bring other people and show them what you found, because it's
Yeah.
so amazing, it's so freeing. But after a while, you have to realize you kind of have to back off and let it happen organically. And I'm just so grateful. I'm at the point where I'm starting to see that prayer come to fruition. Trev, if you're I know you're listening, but you're an answer to one of my prayers, man, because I have prayed for people that was been in my life, and friends and family, to come and let me heal. Not heal, I don't heal anyone, but let me show you true healing and true sovereignty, and like true conscious understanding, and especially through the ceremonies and stuff. It's uh it's very powerful. Brian just popped up. Like, it was really awesome to show him, like, how I saw things, and like, not from my dictation, but just from my viewpoint, like, just to say, hey, like, this has really changed my life, like, hope you can see it too. And I've been able to show people a version of that for themselves that's been so helpful for so many. I'm just so honored to do what I do, not only in my work, but this podcast and the show, and being on great shows like yours, and just spreading that word. It just one person at a time, or 10 people at a time, or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, and I think you're doing a great job, Drew. It's just one step at a time and keep getting it out there. Like even since we've spoken last, you've brought this podcast to life and really and just really hit the ground running with it.
Yeah, I just realized, like, the past couple of years I've been collecting or making contact with different people, and really, when I started the podcast, it was no question of who my lineup was going to be. I because I don't I wanted to get more in the consciousness aspect of
Yeah,
things, and the UFO stories are fun, and they draw viewers. But
I do.
my goal is to spread this conscious awareness. And I realize, like, I just been meeting and connecting with a lot of collective people over the years, and you know um I think who's next? Dave Scott coming up next weekend,
Yeah,
you know,
that's gonna be
and
awesome.
I've heard his story a few different times of his experiences, you know, face to face contact with ET and stuff. So um, it's just some of these things are just so profound they need to be heard by more people, you know.
Right.
And like you said, some when you're a host, you don't get it out a lot.
You don't get to get it out a lot, and it's only like when I do these like host to host shows that I'm able to like really speak, because it is when you bring the guest on, you got to get the guest talking, because that's why you brought the guest on.
Hmm.
But being able to share the experiences, I think, is really important. Like even sharing the experience I shared with you tonight, like it's something that happened over the course of a year, but being able to share that and not feel like, oh, people are going to be like, oh, Jess, that totally didn't happen, like I'm like, but for me, it's like I had that shit happen three times, and now I can't say it didn't happen because it happened three times. If three times is super coincidence, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
like feeling comfortable to be able to share that now, I think, and with shifting my show name helped me to kind of be like, I can share this story now, because for me, I know that happened. So for me, I'm very also like I feel like a lot of things I believe a lot of this, and in line with a lot of the things you say, Drew. It's like just kind of helping people to kind of see that there's more, and that this is real, and we do have consciousness, and it's important to connect to that and not just be glued to your phone all the time, or not just be glued to like worrying about shit, and just really being present. I think it's just such an important part of it all.
you know, fear is a big thing that
Yes.
is used by the other side to control everything, you know. And um, you know, my philosophy is all fear is a breakdown of the fear of death. Like the fear of death is the main fear, everything else is a fear of that. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you're scared of heights, you're not really scared of heights, you're scared of falling and dying. Like if you're scared
Yeah.
of water, you're not scared of getting wet, you're scared of drowning, you know. Like and I believe I would go far as to say that every fear is some type of derivative of the fear of death.
I would
um
agree.
that's something I've been speaking of a lot lately. Yeah, it just feels important to bring up now. And uh what's have you looked into Egypt a lot? Have you ever what's in Okay, I'll wait till your answer on this.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple years ago I really got into like the Thoth stuff and things like that. But most recently, I was ill one day, and I was also microdosing, and I had a meditation, right? And
I
in
love that you
my
microdose. It's awesome. It's a
right,
big part.
you
It's
feel
a big
those-
part. It's a big part of my life too.
yeah, it's a big part of my life, guys. So I like to share it with you guys. But so I'm laying down on my little couch that Loki likes to chew on. This is pre Loki, right? And I close my eyes and I get the most beautiful, like this beautiful, like technicolor vision of this lion-headed woman coming in with this beautiful headdress, and it's so colorful, and it's like these swirling beautiful colors in my meditation. I'm not asking for this. This is something that just came, you know what I mean? As I'm sitting there, because I had no, sometimes you go to meditation, you like kind of put it like in a little intention or something, right? But this one was like, no, I was just gonna meditate, and this beautiful like, and then I look up who it is after, right? I guess I'll tell you a little bit about the experience, but it was like she kind of came in, she said who she was. She's a Sekhmet, and I wasn't feeling well at the time. And it was like as if she kind of brought the energy through me and kind of made me feel better. Because I remember I was feeling ill in the stomach, and she just kind of made me feel better. And shit you not, guys, if you guys don't know who Sekhmet is, do you know what she's the goddess of?
No.
So she's the goddess of war, right? And she's the destroyer of enemies of the sun god. But she's also, because like Egyptian gods, right? They always like kind of have a two thing. Her second half is healing and medicine. So she came over, and like this entity or her like kind of came up and like showed her face to me, and like kind of healed my tummy, and I felt better. And then she kind of went away.
I totally believe it.
Crazy, right? So that
It
was
is
my
crazy.
connection to it. I don't know, but like I'd like to hear like I've been more drawn to Egypt recently than I had been in past years.
Well, if you read my book, you know I have a connection to Osiris, channeled Osiris. By the way, I've been looking for the recording of my first channeling of Osiris, which is like an hour and a half long, for
Ooh.
a long time, and I finally found the phone, the old phone that's on, and
You
I
that
found
it
it.
was on? Did you listen to it?
It's on this computer. I'm gonna clean it up, put subtitles to it, and post it.
I'd like to
Um,
hear what you said. What you
wh-
channeled.
whenever I can get to it. But I so I had that connection to Osiris, but I never really looked into it deeply on other routes. Like I never even really knew a thought until I started hearing Billy talk about it like a year or so ago when I found Billy. So I'm like, man, I was like, okay, one day I got to talk to Billy Carson. I'm like, I have something, we have some type of connection. I don't know what it is. I've known it for a long time. So when he got on my show the other couple weeks ago, and we were talking about thought, I found the Emerald Tablets
Yeah.
on YouTube and started listening to them, and they have like the printout and everything. Well, I got to the end of Tablet 12, and it said, if you want to call on me, just say my name 3 times, and to bring my conscious back into your existence. Basically, he's telling him like, okay, I'm channeling through you now, and if you want me to channel again, say my name 3 times. I about flipped my shit because I said this as Osiris in the channeling
Same
recording.
shit. I mean, not
At
shit.
the
I mean,
at
same
the
stuff.
end of it, I said, Osiris said, if you want to call me back again, say my name 3 times. And I it it's just it's too much, it's just. But so I asked Billy about this.
Yeah. Really say.
Actually, before so I asked Billy during the interview, and then found the Emerald Tablets afterwards. And I said, but in the interview, it just hit me like I had this epiphany like come to me. I asked Billy, I was like, "Do you think thought, Jesus, and Osiris are all source?"
Oh,
And and he, he's like, "Man, it's funny you say that because this has been a thought that's been going through my mind here lately." And
my.
yeah, it's just crazy stuff, like I was telling the story about Osiris the other day when I channeled him. We were driving. I was riding in the passenger seat. My wife was driving, and I started channeling. And the channel told my wife to start recording this on
Oh,
like,
dang. Yeah.
and it was like an hour and a half long worth of this, and it took me a while afterwards to really believe like, man, is this me? Was I doing this on my own? But when Osiris started speaking, like I started taking notes of what he said during the channeling. I started looking into it, and it all just like started. And I speak about this in the book, around page 50 something of my first
Okay,
book.
I'm not on 57 yet. Okay.
Yeah. So let me see. Let's see exactly where it is. Yeah, I start chalking. So on page 55 of I'm Perfect for You, I say, I am Osiris, son of Ra, represented in your solar system by your sun. I'm here to assist in evolutionary shift of the human race and Gaia herself. I reside in Orion's belt. My consciousness is represented by the center star in the belt. I'm here to facilitate a close relationship between humans and their galactic family as I am a product of both. My mission is to illuminate your true connection to all that is your moments of contact. We are all sharing one consciousness. I am a guide. Blessings to all Osiris. So that's on page 55. But yeah, I can't wait to release the original time that I ever heard Osiris, and the first time I ever heard Osiris was spoke through me.
Oh, so you didn't have any like Egyptian kind of thing like
No,
before, which makes that very
no,
interesting.
I know I'm ayahuasca,
Mhm.
Sundance, Native American, and really like nothing really started with ET until after ayahuasca. Like ayahuasca just sent me into a whole nother realm, and and everything unfolded after that. Um,
Interesting. Interesting.
so yeah, ayahuasca opened the door for me for everything happening. And but a day or two after I channeled Osiris for the first time, we were in Florida. So we were driving back from California. We stopped in Colorado, and then we reset. And a day or two later, we went to Florida to do ceremonies. We got there, and we got there a day or two early before before we were scheduled to do ceremonies. And I went to me and my wife like to visit like thrift stores and stuff. So we went to a thrift store. I took a pendulum into a thrift store like I normally do, and like just randomly checking stuff. I don't need anything. Like I'm just randomly checking stuff to see like what it's doing. I found a Buddha head, and
Nice.
I'm walking around. I'm walking around the thrift store with this Buddha head under my arm, and I go to the shoe section. I don't need any shoes, but I'm just in the shoe section, and I'm standing there, and like both my ears start just ringing like crazy. And I'm like, man, what is this? Like, what is going on? And I look up, and there's Osiris skating shoes.
No
Had
shit.
no idea that they even made these shoes.
Didn't
Like,
even know.
and I'm not a skater. Like, it's for people like skateboarding shoes and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like Skechers, but they're Osiris. The company's made Osiris, and they're on the back of these shoes in green, Osiris, right at my eye level. And I'm about throwing up. I'm just like, man, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. Like, I channeled this in about Arizona somewhere, and I'm in Florida, and I run across these shoes, and then I'm looking at the news, and the um, the church the Temple of Notre Dame that burnt down. Remember
Yes,
that
yes, I remember
happened a
that.
few
Yeah.
years ago?
Mhm.
That was within a few days of this channeling. Did you know that church was built on top of the Temple of Isis?
I did not know that.
So literally, the church tried to trap that energy by building a church on top of it. This all happened within days of each other, and of course, Osiris and Isis, the connection, they were
Yes.
husband and wife, and also brother and sister. But that happened. That's just another confirmation that was just like, man, it's just like, holy, it's just all the way in France. Like, I mean, this is like, then I'm like, I had kind of had this vision of like me outside the planet,
Oh
off the
shit.
planet, like looking at Mother Earth. Cause
Yeah.
it was like the spiritual universe is speaking all around the planet right now to what just happened to me, you know? And I'm just like, this is crazy, you know?
That is crazy. And see, so it's like when those things happen, right? You just kind of go like, yeah, it can't be. But then part of you is like, well, how in the freaking hell
It just
does
keeps
all this
happening.
connect, right? And it just keeps happening because I think too those Osiris shoes. I haven't seen those in years. Like I think I had a pair back in the olden days, but I haven't seen them in years. So it's kind of interesting that you even saw them, right? Like, what are the chances that you would see them after having that channeling? And then the Notre Dame thing. See?
It was it's crazy times.
It's crazy.
Crazy times.
I think it's just like, to me, it's like, I never could possibly think before that any of this was real. I had a very hard time thinking that any of the gods were real and that we could communicate with them. And after having my experiences and hearing about your experiences, Drew, it's like now it's not that I believe in them, and this is why I've shifted from really looking at UFOs too. It's like I know what happened, and now like I've talked to people like Drew who've had these things happen. And how can I say they're not real? It's like it's what I'm like so interested in is that they're real. This stuff is real.
It's real and it's not. You
It's
know,
not,
if
right?
you're looking at the grand scheme of things from sources point of view, it's not real. It's all manifested for an experience.
Yes.
It's just like as every one of our cells we're going through an experience, and they self-actualized as this cell being Jess, this cell being Drew, this cell being Trev, this cell being Elfman. All these different cells in your body identifying separately, or they're just Drew. And that's kind of, we're all source, but from source's point of view, this is all fake. From our point of view, it's very real. And
Yes.
you have to understand there's a middle ground somewhere that you have to tap into.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That is a good way.
That's a good way to put it.
Good job. Good job.
Good job, Drew.
Good job, Drew. Because the
No,
trick of it is trying to like explain these things too, so that people kind of understand it, and I think you're saying middle ground is a good way to put it.
yeah, this. I saw something. I looked up my daughter, my oldest daughter, today for her graduate, or the other day for her graduation, and I
Yeah.
saw that she's labeled herself as the divine feminine on Instagram or something like that. We have a strained relationship
Oh, I'm
where
sorry.
a lot of people in this community have strained relationship with people that are close to them. It seems pretty common, but it's nice to see that she's got both my books. I know she's read both my books, and hope she hears this one day, and know that I'm proud of her and stuff. No matter how whatever she's been led to think. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's labeled herself as divine feminine, and I'm just so happy. Like, it's almost like this level of love that you have for your kids that just goes, um, literally unconditional. And just seeing her graduate and move forward in life, and starting this next phase, and also seeing, like, even though we don't talk, and she may not want to have a relationship with me at this point, she still has a good grasp of where she's at,
Yeah.
and it just
Mhm.
real evident by some of the things when we have spoken, the few times that we have spoken and everything. um yeah, that's pretty cool though, to
It
see
is
that.
very cool, very cool, and just to see like that she is aware of like the divine feminine and like connected to that. I love that, and I hope yeah, and I hope she does listen, Drew.
Yeah, I hope she does too. She's got a brother that she's her and Gage. So those are my two older kids from my first marriage. Definitely strained relationship, and just holding space that those relationships repair themselves one day. And also, they have a little brother, like little baby Hawk, that's really an amazing being that came the last time we spoke.
I
Like,
know.
crazy.
Like he amazingly came, and I remember me and Drew, we were chit chatting after the show, and we were just like really getting into some deep stuff. And then he goes, and I can't quite remember like that moment where you're like, okay, I gotta go check on my wife or something. And then I think I saw you posted or you messaged me, and I was like, holy gosh, like, oh my god, it wasn't expected. And
Not at all.
like it's been amazing to watch him grow, because I've been following the pictures you've been posting, and he was such a little guy, and to watch him become such a big guy now, it's been amazing to watch. I was like, I remember when I was talking to Drew and baby Hawk was born.
Yeah, it's I got these big earphones on, so I'm just blocking out any of the other noise and stuff in the house, so I'm just trying to concentrate on the show. And the our bathroom is pretty close to under here, so I'm on the second floor, the eagle's nest. And hear my wife down, like, making some noise downstairs, and I just happened to hear it just in a lull in the conversation at one moment. I was like, Jess, I gotta go downstairs, and yeah, we're on the way to the hospital 10 minutes later. And uh so that night was, we're on the way to the hospital, and I'm on the phone with 911, and I'm like letting them know, like, we're on the way to the hospital. like this is what I'm driving. I'm gonna have my flashers on, and like it's been a while since I was a sheriff's deputy, but all that came back. Like I was talking to their dispatch, like all that came back. I was like talking in their codes and stuff even, and I'm just like, man, it's crazy
It just snapped right back.
how it's just right there, you know. But I was just like, yeah, I'm coming in. I notify the hospital, get a team like here and there, and I was like directing all this while I was driving, totally calm, like one of the calmest I've been in years. You know, I'm like,
Oh
I
man.
feel like I'm right back in the swing of things, and I'm looking at my wife, and she's going through contractions really hard. And I'm just like, man, this is really serious. You know, the further
Yeah.
we got to town, uh, the stronger they were getting. I look over and there's a meteorite like going in line with us, and it's like changing. It's so low, it's changing colors. Like
Oh
it's
wow.
flashing colors, you know. And I look over at it's all like slow motion. I look over at Ella and I'm like, "Do you see that?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Thank
Oh
God
my,
that we both get to see that like on the way."
that is
Like,
beautiful.
so I'm thinking, I'm like, man, what is going to happen? Like, this is definitely a sign like something's about to happen. We're not going to the hospital. We're not going home 2 hours later with some Advil or something, you know.
Yeah.
Something's about to happen. Like, this is, the meter's like showing me this is something is definitely about to happen. And yeah, so it was the 10th. So January 10th was when we had our last interview.
Yes.
And yeah, we got to the ER and everything. They took us up to the room. They were checking her out, and everything was like really slow and like kind of laid back. And all of a sudden they go, the nurse comes in and they check her, and they're like, okay, we're about to get you prepped for emergency C-section. This baby's coming. And nurse comes in and gives her a shot to help out with the baby's last minute developments for the baby's lungs. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, when is this happening? They're like,
Yeah.
we're about to wheel her out in 10 minutes. And I'm
Oh
just
my
like,
god.
I'm like, it was it was a life threatening surgery that had to happen to save both of them. You know, not to get
Thank
into
you.
so many details, but that's the important part of the story. And yeah, they wheeled her out. I asked if I could go with them, and they're like, no, but the baby's going to be transported. It was 28 weeks, so the baby's going to be transported to Colorado Springs. Um, and that's either there's going to be a flight by a jet or a helicopter, and guys need to decide like if you're going to go with the baby or stay with her. You go, either one's an option. I decided to stay with her and have them transport the baby, and then we would go catch up with the baby. But we had to have all this conversation in like 10 minutes. It's like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
other very personal conversations. But
Yes.
um yeah, it was just really profound, just sitting there like, whoa, what's going on. And uh they wheel her out, and the nurse goes, we're gonna you're seeing me about 40 minutes, I'll come get you to meet your son. And I'm just like, I met him, and he was so tiny. I just about passed out. I was like, is he gonna be all right? Yeah. There's like, yeah, he's breathing on his own. He's doing actually really good for how big he is and everything. And it was really emotional, especially at the time. And yeah, we spent almost 9 weeks in the hospital. We spent just let's see, we spent 2 months and 5 days in the hospital. And he went from 2 pounds and being on a bilirubin light with, he had like what they call like the baby uh was it the sun when you go in the tanning bed, oh, the baby
Yeah,
tanning
like
bed.
UV baby light. Yeah.
Yeah, so he had to have that for a couple weeks. I couldn't hold him for the first week.
Wow.
And yeah, to see him now, just picking his head up and getting ready to turn over and teeth come in and already eating bananas and just, yeah, he's on a goat milk diet now. So uh I know all the talk about formula shortages right
Yeah.
now.
Shortage.
that,
Yeah.
that's a sickening part of the whole paradigm that I see very clearly as like very twisted part of like what's going on right now. There's and what we had what the the doctors prescribed us was like Neosure, which is a formula,
Yeah.
and just horrible stuff. But we changed them over to the uh, a goat milk formula that has about 10 different ingredients in it, including goat colostrum and stuff,
Mhm.
and different oils. And he's doing amazing on it. Plus breast milk, but uh, he's just eating so much my wife can't keep up with. He's just he's crazy.
He's a hungry little guy.
He's eating all the time, and
Oh
he's in it.
man.
He's in his major growth window. So they say babies are in their major growth window for the first 6 months, and
So he's like, yum yum yum, gotta
he's
eat.
definitely in it. Oh my god.
But it's good. I think that sounds more natural. I don't know what's in baby formula. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't have the I don't want to open literally I don't want to open that can.
no, no. I
There's I will say that we're with a homeopathic doctor that doesn't we pay out of pocket for our doctor's visits to the one doctor that we go to, and she's the one that introduces to the goat milk formula. I'm gonna have her on the show soon, and
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
she's gonna tell her story, and she's gonna tell us why she doesn't accept insurance. She's gonna tell us why, and these are gonna start delving into really touchy subjects in the medical industry.
Yeah.
I can't wait to start getting into this and have her tell her. She's a doctor.
Yeah.
She's not just someone, a homeopathic practitioner. She is a doctor, but she doesn't accept insurance, and there's specific reasons why she doesn't.
Ooh, interesting.
Because they're doctors that accept insurance are controlled not not only by incentives, but by contracts of what they can say and what they can prescribe. And
Interesting.
going to her really shed a lot of light, stuff that I already really had a lot of ideas on, but hearing it from a doctor in the field, wow.
Wow.
Can't wait to have her on.
No, I can't wait to watch that episode. I have a lot my own gripes with the medical, the whole
Yeah.
medical field thing, but
Well,
that'll be interesting to hear her point of view.
it's not meant to cure anybody. That's not, it's a business. It's
Yeah.
the main focus behind the Western medicine society, Western medicine practices is to keep a customer going, and like these formulas constipate children, which in turn give them hernias, which in turn, and I'm speaking, this has happened to my child. I'm not speaking this a theory. I've watched it happen. Give them hernias, and then they have to go have surgeries. And it's a net. My son's about to have his third surgery for hernias
Oh my
since
gosh.
he's been born.
Oh my,
And it's
really been around.
a lot of it's contributed to prematurity, but I believe a lot of it's contributed to the formula and stuff.
Yeah.
His cycle and how he's using the restroom and stuff now is a lot better now than what he was on formula.
Yeah, see, because you've been feeding him, so you can tell too. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, see, the doctor that they don't want, they really don't want, healthy people, because what do they say? Healthy people are not customers. There's no money, they say, in healthy people, I think is what they say.
Not at all. My wife, she's she's an LPN nurse as well, which it's great having her and having her viewpoint of she's had over 12 years experience as an LPN,
Yeah.
worked in a bunch of different specialties in that. But she said she couldn't push pills anymore. After ayahuasca, it just opened her mind to where she couldn't push pills anymore. It just she couldn't do it. It just,
Yeah.
she saw it too clearly.
Yeah, that's all they want to do is push pills. I was I have I have fibromyalgia, right? And all they want to do is give me pills. And you know what I said? Thanks guys. If that's all we got here, I'm just like gonna stop coming here because there's no reason for me to come here anymore. If you're just gonna be like, this pill now, go see a pain specialist, go see this, go do that.
You should ask the mushrooms to help you out. Like,
That's what my mushrooms are helping me, I think.
awesome. team mushrooms, team plants.
Team plans. Like, what I do instead of going to pain management is I use cannabis, and then also because they wanted to put me on antidepressants because they said it would help with the pain. So with that, I use mushrooms, and I think it helps to, balance whatever pain receptors. But what I've done is just try to eat right and just try to use the plant medicine in the best way I can to
Yeah,
avoid all these pharmaceuticals that they want to put me on.
that's
Boom.
awesome.
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
my wife's speaking up. There's there's my queen speaking up. She's
Yay!
she's team plant.
Team plant.
Yeah. I'm sure
Why do
she's listened to
we
my
make
she's
that
always
one?
supporting, always listening to the listen about all the goat milk and everything. Yeah, it's been amazing for our son. I'm glad we
No,
found
it's
it. We were stressing out, like not so much about the shortage because this we started switching over to goat milk before the shortage become like
oh,
a
so you
story.
guys were already doing it? Yeah. Shoot.
Well, it goes a little deeper. We had our first primary care doctor was from a clinic that was in Alamosa, and one of the same people that was in the hospital that had a premature baby at the same time we did in Colorado Springs. We met them there at the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah.
They actually live close to us, like 5-6 miles away, and they're actually friends with us now. We speak, but we come home with Hawk, and that same night their son died.
Oh my god.
So and they found out it was from stomach issues from the NeoSure, the same formula that our son that the hospital was saying, hey, there's only one preemie formula. It's NeoSure, and you have to take it. If your child gets constipated, feed them juice. That was the only thing that they said. That was the only. And if they're still constipated, feed them more juice. And it's like I thought about it for a little bit. I'm like, we did it, we did just what the doctor said. But then we found out when they got the results back that the child did die from one of the contributing factors was COVID from from our doctor. He contracted COVID from the doctor that we had,
Are you
and
serious?
stomach issues that I think was attributed to the formula because that's the only thing he was eating.
Oh my
So
god.
yeah, we started switching over from the NeoSure to Ghost Milk before the formula was a huge story.
This
And
is horrible. Yeah. But it's good you switched over, but it's horrible to hear. Jesus Christ.
yeah, we even had him on a organic one from Walmart, and he was having problems with that, and it was dairy based, and something that it hit me one day. He was even having problems with that, and it
Yeah.
hit me one day. I talk about this all the time. I've teached other people. I'm like, we're not supposed to eat milk. Like it's for a being with a 4-chamber stomach, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm feeding it to my kid. And like, no wonder it's not working.
Jeez.
And but the goat milk, yeah, it's he does get breastfed. Like my Ella's still breastfeeding, but the goat milk is definitely supplementing all that and making it so he can eat whatever he wants, and he definitely take advantage of that. So.
It's a girl with a baby. He needs
Yeah, he's definitely got chunky legs and everything, and
oh, that's the best.
yeah, just in his mood's getting so much better on a daily, and he's getting to where he doesn't want to sleep. He's fighting to sleep all day, and just wanting. We always joke. He's like, Hawk doesn't want to miss a beat. He's
He wants
just
to see everything.
yeah. Jess, I'm not gonna keep you anymore. I gotta get back to being a dad soon.
You do. We've been talking about Hawk. You gotta go see
Yeah,
Hawk.
I miss him. I miss him.
And Ella
One
too. You gotta go be with the family.
what's one last message for the people, Jess? What's your last message for the people in the days and weeks and years ahead?
I guess my message for the people is just try to, be aware. That's the thing I've been kind of like hearing the most of, like what I should be saying. Just kind of be aware and use your awareness. And the more you're open, the more you're going to see. And once you see more, you just want to make your life better and everybody's around you. So I guess my message is just be aware. And can I say, Drew, thank you so much for having me on. Every time we talk, I feel like we go through so many deep conversations. I love it. And I would love for you to come on again to my show to now that it's Escape the Simulation as well.
Yeah, I would. I'd love to have you back on soon, and yeah, try to just delve deeper into this, and hear more stories about Loki
Yeah,
and all
Loki,
that,
he was
because
a moment ago.
this is a problem, not a problem, but a thing that I see, like some shows are a little too serious, I think, and like this
Yeah.
is a time to celebrate, like people. This is a time to shoot fireworks in the air in a galactic sense, because this is a time to celebrate. This is my viewpoint now, and if you change your external changes to that celebration of life, and
Yes.
I really believe that's where we're at. I fully believe we've arrived. And please, everyone, step beside me. I don't want anyone behind me or in front of me. Everybody, step beside me, and let's walk through these doorways together. And I'm so glad to be your friend and spend this time together, getting these conversations, and looking forward to the next one.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Drew. This was amazing. And I can't wait to see where this show goes.
It's exciting, and yeah. So where can the people find you at?
You,
All your social medias. Let's go.
all my social media. So it's on Twitter. It's at the Escape the Simulation or Escape the Sim Rad on Twitter. Actually, if you guys head over to jessrogge.info, I have a little link tree there, and that has all the links to my social media. I'm live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific on the Fringe FM, and sometimes I stream out to YouTube as well. So I hope you guys can join me, and hopefully Drew comes on in the future too.
If I could fit you in, my calendar's booking up. No, I always make time for you, Jess. It's great talk. It's great talking to you,
Great talking
and
to you.
see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you, Drew.
All right, everybody. You have been listening to the Eagles Nest podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Be on the lookout for upcoming pop-up podcasts. So that means if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. It'll let you know on all the upcoming interviews as I post them. And yeah, I'm just a free bird now, just without a network. Shouts out to Margie K and Race Hobbs over at the Onyx. Appreciate all their support, the short time we were together, and blessings for their future. And yeah, blessings to each and every one of you. Trev, looking forward to seeing you out here soon. With that being said, we have spots still open for our retreat coming up just shortly in a week or two. On June 2nd is starting our retreat. So head over to Secret Journeys Within if you're interested. Find out more details about that. Love to see you out. Trev, see you soon. Um, my wife Ella, always in gratitude for you, um, being such an integral part of this family, and being such a matriarch of this household, and being such a wonderful wife and mother to Hawk and Alyssa, and just being such a good friend to me. And yeah, I don't need any brownie points, but I always take them when I can get them, guys. But yeah, love to my wife. Thanks for everybody for joining in. Join me next Sunday, and like I said, check out, if you haven't subscribed to Eagles Nest podcast, do so now. Hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends, share this interview wide and far. We got Dave Scott coming up from Space Dot Radio next Friday, followed by Jason Quick, Kevin Day, Ruben Langdon, and coming up July 10th, we're going to be live streaming from the Stardust Fest. I will be speaking there at 11 a.m. That's going to be in Golden, Colorado. Again, that's July 10th. That's the Stardust Fest. It's going to be a one-day festival. And that night, so this happens to be on a Sunday, and and we're going to be live streaming. Plan on live streaming the Eagles Nest podcast from that festival that evening, hanging out there. And also coming up in November 18th, just got booked to appear and speak at Zen Awakening Festival. That's a 3-day festival. Been part of a few times. Can't wait to take part in that again. And yeah, looking forward to that. If you're in the Florida area, check out Zen Awakening Festival coming up in November. And yeah, I think that just about wraps it up. Check out the book, I'm Perfect and So Are You. And check out my buddy Brian's book. Brian's in the chat room right now. Brian, wake them up, bring them home. Home is where your heart is. Yeah, very good friend of mine. And so proud of you, Brian, and thankful for everything that you are. And go check out his book. It's on Amazon. And I will share the link on Facebook and try to share the link where you can find his book and get an autographed copy possibly from his website. And yeah, love you too, Brian. Yeah, and talk to you guys later. Check me out next Sunday. Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell button, give you notifications for upcoming shows. Be on the lookout for upcoming podcasts, pop-up podcasts, because I got my foot on the gas and I'm here to bring the truth to you guys. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Namaste.